top 8 times. She had that. I think yesterday her qualifying time was an Olympic record, but the 8th best time in that event ever, and the other 7 are also her. So she's just the greatest of all time. She's the GOAT of long distance freestyle.
Any idea how long it would take you guys to swim 1,500 meters, including?
Find out.
I couldn't.
1,500 meters.
Oh, including breaks.
I mean, yeah, it would take most of the morning.
It would take you probably the entire day.
I would screw up the stroke. I can't breathe while I swim. I'm not good at it.
Yeah, I'm not good at that either. Just keeping going, turning the head. Too much water involved. The nose gets the water in it too.
I would give it about an hour.
Yeah.
She did in 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely take me at least 3 hours. Guessing if I made it at all.
I was gonna say I said most of the morning, so yes, that's where I would be. How many times back and forth in that? What is the pool?
30. It's 30 laps, so 15 times back and forth. Or 30 laps. Yeah, it's a mile. I mean, it's a mile. It's nuts. And just swimming one time across, not even a full lap, just swimming across the 50 meters in an Olympic-sized pool, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, I can see. It's good exercise though.
It's great exercise. Yeah.
So what do you guys make of the latest Oklahoma and Oklahoma State? I guess Oklahoma State calling out Oklahoma. Oklahoma and Texas, there was a meeting in Texas A&M as well. Texas A&M deciding not to really put anything out from what went down at their Board of Regents meeting, except that they're going to have another one on Wednesday. Oklahoma State president, though, taking to Twitter, putting out a statement basically saying that the University of Oklahoma, how could they do this to the state of Oklahoma? Clearly, they have broken bylaws 12 where it says that if anyone approaches you for leave, you should notify the conference within 12 hours and adamantly deny their advances and the whole thing. To me, this comes off as awfully ridiculous and sour grapes from Oklahoma State. Bill, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the more you start to read about the financial impact. I was listening to Heath a little bit yesterday as he was breaking it down. I was reading some last night about what is going to likely come from all this, and what I mean from that is the financial impact. And there's an article in CBS Sports that talks about how ESPN and Fox basically can go back and change the language now of the media contract that they currently have, and it could. I think this would be a little drastic, but it's not inconceivable that it could take the yearly payout from what it is right now, roughly $37 million, all the way down to $9 million a year for these teams. And even Oklahoma State, which I think will be fine, they'll land somewhere, but it's not a given. There's none of these programs that are out there. And again, I don't know, who would you guys say is the second or is the most desirable program left amongst the tag-along 8? Is it Oklahoma State?
I'd probably say Kansas, because they'll actually probably win a national championship in a big-time sport.
Oh, and here's another just
perspective.
Oklahoma State, I think, by a landslide, isn't it?
Really? Kansas State, I feel like, has been just good a football program through the years.
Kansas State is near the bottom. Kansas State is the one everybody is thinking is going to get left out here. If there is
I mean, everyone's had moments, right? But hasn't Oklahoma State been consistently at least a top 25 program almost year in and year out?
I was thinking, I think Baylor's probably been the best recently, which is mind-boggling knowing what Baylor was when I was your age, Patrick. And then
TCU. Did RG3 start that?
Yeah, basically. I'd say that's relatively fair. It's been about a 15-year run where Baylor has become relevant there. But okay. You guys want to give me Oklahoma State at the top of the list? Yeah, it's just.
But they also play the biggest. They play the biggest time game. I mean, for the Oklahoma State people, yeah, they're just coming up with whatever excuses. They're not. They might not hold water, but they're right to have sour grapes, right? And if you're just an Oklahoman, that's what they are, right? Oklahoman. I think I know that. You're kind of salty too, right? Or Oklahoma. If you told Oklahoma Sooner fans, yeah, you're never playing Bedlam again. That game's never happening again, but you're in the SEC. Aren't you very torn over this? I mean, that game is Clemson, South Carolina for them.
Yeah, the issue there, though, as well, is that there's the state rivalry. It's very much North Carolina, South Carolina, where you don't necessarily like the other state. And the fact that Oklahoma State is playing it, right, that Oklahoma and Texas conspired, and it's going to be bad for the state of Oklahoma. And I can't believe the University of Oklahoma joined those guys to give a bad outcome to this state, how disloyal and the whole thing. That to me just seems awfully ridiculous. But I don't know what Oklahoma State's supposed to do. I guess it is where I'm at in this thing, because they can't be like Texas A&M where you raise a fuss and then the commissioner says, "Settle down. Here's your check. Get over it and move on, or we'll move on without you." You're getting moved on without you're getting left, and your prospects for the future aren't very good. This is the guy who latched on to the girlfriend somehow, and everybody thought she was out of the league, and she agreed to marry him, and now she's being left at the altar kind of thing, and he's got no prospects, and Oklahoma State seems to be in big time trouble. So I get throwing everything at him, I guess, at this point. I just don't know what kind of recourse they might have.
I'm just thinking of it from the fan perspective. I would think that fans on both sides, Oklahoma State fans and Oklahoma fans, are kind of bummed about this. We're assuming that game's never being played again, right? Oklahoma State's so salty and they're saying, "Screw you guys."
At this point. I was going to say, that means you actually have to go out of your way to cancel the game. Like Texas and Texas A&M.
Well, they don't have to go out of their way. They just have to schedule it, right?
But they could have kept playing. They could have kept playing. So if you're that upset about it, I get it. I get it. You've got it. It's not ideal, but I think at the end of the day, you would still try to go about playing the game. It's just Oklahoma State. There's some interesting things that came up yesterday that I'm now kind of, I think will be fun to track here. Will everybody follow the SEC's lead? And by everybody, I mean the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and even the ACC. Financially, right now, there's not a ton of reasons to be following the SEC. The SEC is picking up 2 brand names. It's going to help revenue down the line. The only other team that's really out there that helps any conference with revenue is Notre Dame, who's tied into the ACC. Notre Dame is not going anywhere else. Does it really benefit the Big Ten to expand to 16? Because you're not really getting anybody else that is going to be attractive to television that draws more money in when you go to the negotiating table.
But why do you say that, Bill? I mean, this time last week even, we wouldn't have said that, oh, yeah, the SEC can get Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, are you just ruling out that the Big Ten couldn't lure someone else away just because it's kind of clear that the Big 12 is the only conference that's going to be disintegrating before our eyes? I mean, what's to keep the Big 12 from going to the West Coast or yanking somebody from the ACC?
Well, the ACC right now, I mean, obviously we know anything's possible, but the ACC has a 15-year grant of media rights. The number that it would take to get out of the ACC for anybody, Notre Dame included, is astronomical. And basically the ACC, the SEC is very stable. I think the Big Ten is very stable. The ACC is as stable as those 3 programs. When you look at a media grant of rights that goes through 2035, 2036, think about Oklahoma and Texas trying to get out with 3 years left on their grant of rights and owing $80 million. How much do you think it's going to be if one of those schools, if a North Carolina or a Georgia Tech or a Virginia, hypothetically, was approached and would have to pay? I have no clue what it would be.
But why do they still not have options, even if that is the case? Like, first of all, just look at the Big 12 teams. That's fine. Why would Oklahoma State and Kansas not be great additions to that conference? I mean, Big Ten is historically, I guess, a football conference, but I mean, their basketball they've been the best basketball conference in the NCAA for a couple years now. So Kansas would not help them?
Actually, kind of entertaining, the article I read, and I don't want to go off on this tangent yet. Let's save this one. But one of the articles I read yesterday mentioned how the Big 12 has been the best basketball conference in the country the last several years. Kind of interesting.
The Big Ten had like 5 of the top 10 teams in the country for the majority of last year.
Yeah, and
last year I'll give you. The last several years I think might be a bit of a stretch. And
Maybe a little bit.
The Big 12 has had two different teams play in the last two different national championship games.
Sure.
But again, let's not go down that path just yet. We'll stick to.
But so Kansas, why would Kansas be a bad addition to the Big Ten if they just say we're bolstering our basketball side of things? I mean, they already have basketball schools in that conference.
Well,
Indiana is not worth anything in football.
But this is where you have to. That's not true, actually. Indiana was top 15 in the college football playoff last year. But the bottom line on this is you're not adding teams just to add teams. You're adding teams to increase your bottom line. The SEC is not going out and adding two random teams to the league. They're adding teams that they can now go to ABC and ESPN and say, hey, look, you're going to get the Red River rivalry with us. You're going to get Oklahoma, Alabama. You're going to get Texas, Georgia. We're going to have Oklahoma, Florida. Your brand now becomes bigger because of the two schools. Is anybody tuning in to watch? Like, let's just use what you just pointed out. Is anybody going to tune in to watch Kansas, Michigan in football?
No, but I mean, the Big Ten added Rutgers for the New York market, and they added Maryland for the DC market. But you're talking about the product. So is anybody going to tune in to watch Kansas and Indiana play basketball? Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but your basketball streaming rights, your
Kansas and Michigan State, like some of the most historic teams.
Patrick, that's not basketball revenue. Basketball television rights are not what's driving realignment. It didn't the last time.
No,
it's football.
But if that's the only option, you're saying they're better off just sticking with 14 than adding two teams that could bolster their reputation as a basketball conference?
Financially,
why would that hurt them?
Financially, well, because you're not going to get more money from your basketball rights. Your football rights are. So now you're going to split the revenue 16 different ways, not 14.
It won't make them any money to add Oklahoma State and Kansas.
No, I mean, there's articles all that. No.
Well, that's all speculation. They're not going to make any money.
I mean, it's not speculation. We know that. Why is the Big Eight? Why is now the tag along 8 not going to make any money?
Well, there's only 8 teams.
You have the national champion in basketball. You have the runner-up from 2 years ago in basketball. Texas Tech's not a bad program. Oklahoma State, as you pointed out, is not a bad program. Kansas is not a bad program. You've got basketball-wise, the Big Eight, the tag-along 8, are still perfectly fine. So now you're talking about a revenue decrease per year.
There's only 8 teams. It'd be half the size of the conference. That I would assume that just built in would be an issue.
So I mean that's part. Football revenue is what is driving the entire thing. And if you're going to add 2 new teams in it, you have to be able to go and get more money to continue to pay out what you're already paying out. Big Ten is the highest producing revenue conference in the country, a little closer, right close to 50 million. SEC second at 44. You're going to have to be able to find 2 teams that can generate that kind of revenue.
You're talking about the out that people get right now per year, 50 per million per team in the Big Ten and 44 in the SEC, 8 in the Big 12 this last season. It will be interesting to keep an eye on how the details get worked out between Oklahoma and Texas. But yesterday it was official not too long after our show that they put in that they will not be renewing their media rights to the Big 12 office. And then the comments came from there. The meetings came from there. One Big 12 athletic director's time has come to an end, and Gamecock fans might want to revel in that. We'll give you details as we continue to move on this morning at 803-404-6100. Would love for you to weigh in via the phone or text. Either way, 404-6100, how you can join the show. Also, you can check out the video live stream, YouTube, Facebook Live. LeVar, RL, Anthony, David, all up with us already this morning on Twitter as well, at 1075 The Game, the station handle where you can get us. See Kev just popping in on the YouTube, mentioning something that I saw Heath was on social media about yesterday, where Jay Billis was saying that if he was the ACC, he'd talk about a merger with the SEC and the whole thing. Wow, what a time in college sports for sure. It's the early game. It's 1075 The Game.
The game is on.
I'm watching dressage right now, and I couldn't understand less about what's happening.
What's that, Patrick?
I'm watching dressage. I couldn't for a second wrap my mind around it. That is good. score.
I've never even heard of it. What is it?
It's the thing where they ride the horses. Like they're not even doing like an obstacle course or anything. They're just kind of riding the horses around. And I don't even know what they're doing.
Can you spell it?
Dressage, DRESSAGE.
Nothing.
Dressage team Grand Prix special.
And this is in the Olympics, you say?
It's in the Olympics. Apparently, the American guy just did a great job. He was pumping his fist on the way out.
Yeah, I would have gotten that wrong on the multiple choice. These sports are in the Olympics. True or false? I definitely would.
Dressage. Naomi Osaka got bounced yesterday too, or
Yeah.
today, I guess. Yeah, today.
Saw that headline. Tennis, golf, baseball, they just don't play to me in the Olympics.
Yeah, agreed.
Doesn't seem right.
I like dressage and gymnastics.
Best
Dressage.
Gamecock in the NFL right now, it's got to be Stephon Gilmore, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Jacob, who do you think? See, badminton, too, man. I mean, when else can you watch badminton? Badminton, table tennis? Yeah, give me those. They're simple. There's a net, there's a ball. The ball ends up on the ground on your side of the net, you stink. I'm in on that. I can follow that.
And it can get kind of violent almost.
Yeah,
Look what this person is doing.
I get it.
She's just going very slowly with her horse.
Just trotting along, huh?
Just trotting around. Yeah. I just don't know. I don't know how to say whether or not they're doing well. The horse is very impressive. Just skipping along.
Bill, you big dressage fan, are you?
How would you teach a horse to do that?
I mean, it is one of the top three sports I would say I know the least about. Apparently right up there next to rugby.
I'm not sure I want to know how they teach a horse how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dressage.
To the fancy folk.
Okay.
That makes a lot more sense. It sounds a lot more classy.
That's how you say it in the Midwest. We're in the South.
Dressage.
Trying to help you out a little bit.
Dressage. I haven't seen any steeplechase yet. I'm kind of bummed about that. Did watch the triathlon yesterday, though.
That's brutal.
Oh,
Golf starts today. Is this right?
The what?
Golf starts today, or maybe it already started.
yeah. I mean, I just know Shambo's not a part of it now. And your boy Patrick Reed's in.
Yeah, buddy.
Captain America.
Captain America.
I was maybe my proudest dad moment yesterday. My 6-year-old, I told that to my 6-year-old. He's like, "What?" Maybe it was my 8-year-old. Why are they letting Patrick Reed in? He's a cheater.
Tell him because we need a
Love
gold
it.
medal.
But we're
Good
cheering
boy.
for him this week.
No way that's how you spell gate there, David. No way that's the correct spelling of gate.
And also, what does it even mean?
It would be, I would think it'd be without the E. Correct?
I think you're right without the E.
Like, sure, but what are they scoring? I mean, this horse is lifted, done so many different things.
It's all about the gate, you know.
This is actually kind of insane the way it's skipping around.
I love your play-by-play of it.
What channel are you on? Which?
I'm looking at it on an app.
Oh, okay.
The Tokyo app. It looks like just NB.
It's still confusing me.
doesn't.
This is Tokyo 2020.
It doesn't really say.
My kids are all stuck on that too.
Yeah. It's wrong. Well, they already have the medals printed. You can't change it.
Yeah, you can't print anyone better.
I don't know. That's my rationale.
I like how golf is live. The Golf Channel's live from the Olympics. I mean, they pretty much. I think Patrick, to your point, they pretty much let everybody in over there except parents and people that needed to help the athletes.
NBC owns the Golf Channel.
Yeah, but they still got the Golf Channel commentators over there.
Heading back in.
What happened to my rugby channel?
are up.
Hey, love to tee it up with you. August 27th, Friday, about 8 days before the Gamecocks tee it off, or kick it off, I should say, for the college football season is when we'll have our annual fall golf tournament out at Charwood Golf Club. Give them a call right now if you would like to register, 803-755-2000. That's 803-755-2000. Going to have our typical Captain's Choice golf outing there with breakfast and lunch provided. Some benefits to Camp Cole there, raising some money for Camp Cole for a good cause. The winning team will get a trip to Kiowa, and we'll have a raffle for a pair of tickets to the Gamecock football home opener as well. That annual fall golf tournament here from 107.5 The Game, presented by Integrated Media. Love to see you guys out there again Friday, August 27th. Mark your calendars. Bill and I are going to be swinging the sticks a little bit before then. This Thursday out at where are we going to be this Thursday? We're going to be at Wood Creek. Looking forward to heading to Wood Creek on Thursday to tee it up with Shane Beamer and company. His Birdies with Beamer golf outing. The whole coaching staff will be out there bringing it back from the Steve Spurrier days. Lou Holtz did it as well. Should be interesting. Bill, how you feeling about the golf game these days?
New driver.
Watch out.
It's I forget the official title. It's a TaylorMade. So I got it yesterday. So I'm trying to have at least a practice round, hopefully tomorrow, so I don't take anybody out. But yeah, with switching, going down to the 9.5 degree. We're switching from the 10.5 to the 9.5.
Take a page out of Braxton's playbook if he doesn't play well.
Yeah, right.
The driver
Blame
sucks
it on the
this week.
equipment.
Yep.
Mhm.
Bill loves himself a villain, so
Already cramming before the test. You're going to have a practice round right before. That never works well.
No, I'd like to get out and just play some too. So we've been playing better. It's been a resurgent summer for the golf game.
Oh, okay. So watch out.
So we'll
Watch out,
see.
Wood Creek going low. We're going to try that. We're going to tee off at 8 o'clock on Thursday. So what we're going to do is we're looking for a fill-in, maybe have a guest host there on our last hour here on the radio, but we're going to keep a live stream going and try to bring you some of the golf tournament, the golf outing out there, let you see what it looks like, and maybe ride in the cart a little bit with us and have some fun on Thursday out at Wood Creek. Looking forward to that for sure. Again, 803-404-6100, the number into the program. Danny and Anderson hooks us up with a proposed hypothetical map of the Big Four power conferences, assuming Oklahoma and Texas join the SEC. He's got, or wherever he got this from, he does not say where.
It was all
kind of
over.
other conferences filled out. This is from, actually, I might be able to see it. No, it looks like just a Twitter handle at the top, but it was all over social media yesterday, Bill.
Yeah, it was one. I want to say maybe it might have been I can't remember, Saturday Down South or Barstool or one of them. So yeah, I saw this. This one was passed around a good bit yesterday, just because of
I don't like
mainly
it.
in our area because of what they were saying South Carolina would have been in, and I think Gamecock fans were trying to sign up for that very quickly.
It would have been an East pod with Tennessee, Vandy, and Kentucky, as opposed to what we've seen before with the Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky. So it just breaks down the kind of the pods of each conference as well. Let me tell you how the conferences break down. So it's 4 16-team conferences, hypothetically here. Again, Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC, West Virginia and Notre Dame joining the ACC. Then it's 2 more joining the Big Ten, right, which has 14 now, which is very confusing. Kansas and Iowa State, the 2 that they would take, and then 4 other now Big 12 schools joining the Pac-12, Texas Tech, Baylor, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State. Why don't you like what you're seeing there, Patrick?
I don't really like the layout, but also so TCU doesn't get a home. TCU is the
Right.
one that's left out here.
According to this, TCU would be floating around in college sports oblivion, or I guess have to join the AAC or something.
Don't love that. I'd actually rather get rid of Kansas State. They've never won a national championship in any team sport, so let's go ahead and get rid of them. They don't have a place here.
Geez, already sick of this. This thing is less than a week old, is completely groundbreaking and sport shifting, right? And Gene says, I just want expansion to finish so we can talk about this. I've missed it already. I understand where you're coming from, Gene, but it is July. And as far as news goes this time of year, this is as newsy at the time, I think, as we've ever seen, maybe since 10 years ago when the first round of expansion came from, I guess not even the first round of expansion, but the last time it came with Texas A&M and Missouri. And speaking of Missouri, did you guys see that Missouri athletic director Jim Sturt announced yesterday that he and the school have mutually agreed he will step down once a replacement is found out there. Sturt, very popular, probably not the way to put it, but very well known around here for having a rift with the way that his women's basketball team, or the way he reacted to the way that they were treated, or he thought they were treated poorly by USC women's basketball several years ago. He called out basically South Carolina and Dawn Staley, and Staley ended up suing him and the whole thing. But now Sturt, his time at Missouri seems to be over. And whenever I hear mutually agreed to step down, basically I translate that to fired. What about you, Bill?
Well, it definitely seems maybe he just sees everything and wants to get out of the way. Maybe people there, upon hearing Oklahoma and Texas making the move, marched right to his office and said, "How can you be a part of this?" We'll have to wait and see. But for Missouri, not the time that you need transition at the top of your athletic department. You need somebody who's there to kind of guide you through and have a strong voice in the SEC. So I have a hard time believing that they just ran him out of town. And I also don't know how old he is. If is he retiring? Is he actually going to go look for another athletic director job? Like, odd timing to do it, but certainly, again, not necessarily the position I've followed for the last 9 months there at Missouri and their current athletic department status.
Yeah, no word about retirement in the article that I'm reading right now, and I don't think Sturt is that old to begin with. To me, this is, hey, I thought we were special from the Big 12, and now we're not going to be special anymore. And what have you done, actually, since you've been in the athletic director spot? We need to get it in. All right. That's how I translate this news. Patrick, you seem a little confused?
I am confused because I'm trying to do math in my head. He graduated from Western Washington University in 1980. So
that means he's 20 years older than I am. I'm 43. He's 63. Not quite retirement age, but possible. But I would think you would hear it mentioned, at least, in an article saying that he's decided to spend more time with his family and going to retire and the whole thing. But that's mutually agreed to part ways is how this one's being put. I thought that's where we're going to end up with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. And now it appears that the relationship has been salvaged for the year, as I understand it, right? They're bringing him back and going to be able to play this year. And then after that, they're basically cutting him loose. Patrick, is that how you analyze the situation, since you're already telling me about the paparazzi who are filming Aaron Rodgers' flight coming into, what was it, last night or this morning or whenever it was?
Yeah, so they're going to basically just void his last year or his contract after this season, and he's going to have the choice to do whatever he wants to do. It was kind of what everyone was speculating when him and Devontae Adams put up pictures of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Took a couple minutes, but the internet pretty quickly figured out that meant the last dance. So yesterday the news came out because training camp starts today. So I don't know what time the Packers are supposed to take the field today, but I would assume that what it looks like from what I'm considering, he's going to be in the offices pretty early this morning, talking about like signing those final alterations in the contract that's going to completely cut him loose after this season. And it would be one of the coolest things I've seen in my sports watching lifetime if he just goes out there and wins the Super Bowl and says, "See you later, I'm off to Denver." I would absolutely love that. But yeah, it looks like he's playing football this year, which I guess was the most logical conclusion, but I definitely didn't see the Packers just completely caving in. I would have just called his bluff and said, if you want to retire, you can retire, but you're going to finish your contract as a Packer. Like, we are not going to trade you. And I wouldn't have let him ever play anywhere else. But they're getting nothing back for him. They're getting 1 year and they're getting nothing back for him. So I don't know how this falls.
Well, wait a minute.
What Packers fans
we
want.
don't know that they can trade him next offseason. Like, there will probably be, this is basically, and look, I think we all agree in terms of handling things organizationally, the Packers have been near the top of ever mishandling a star athlete in doing this. And to me, it's just another sign that the Packers never thought that Rodgers would actually kind of rebel against them. And to me, this is both of them making a concession. Look, we need you for this year. Please deal with us this year. We'll cut your contract back so it'll be easier to deal you next offseason, and we'll move forward from there. You take away how much guaranteed money was it in that contract? Any idea, Patrick?
I don't know what the numbers are, but whatever they're going to get is going to be nothing because he's going to pick the team that he plays for.
So they're basically agreeing to part ways after this year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, can things be mended? Can they have a great year and maybe you can mend things? Never say never on that. And so this buys you roughly 8 months to see where things end up, if they can make a Super Bowl run, kind of as Patrick pointed out. And if so, you know what? If they do make a Super Bowl run and he claims that he loses a second ring, maybe it's time to break everything up and turn it over to Jordan Love. Just realize the time has come to turn it over. I mean, this isn't going to be, with Aaron Rodgers, it's not going to be a 3 or 4 year dynasty. So maybe if he does make it, you turn him loose and you say, all right, thank you for the 2 Super Bowls. Thank you for all the memories. That's been great. Now you're right. Go right off into the sunset and find what you can do. I actually think this is a semi-smart move on the Packers' part, because they're basically telling Aaron Rodgers, hey, we realize you're not committed to us long term. We're not committed to you long term anymore. Get us through this year, and we will find a way to make this right. Or, you can basically walk out of here completely on your own. Now, this could completely backfire in the Packers' face, because one of the options that's out there, one of the options is that he does play 2022 and then walks away scot-free, and the Packers don't get a single thing. That's the one where it could completely blow up in your face. Is that Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is kind of a weird, quirky guy. He's got a pretty good roster. It wouldn't be a complete shock for him to find the best way to stick it to the Packers is play 2 seasons there and then walk out where they get nothing.
I don't think there's any shot they're getting anything of value for him, even if they decide, because he's going to pick the team that he plays for.
Right.
It's going to be completely up to him, and the team will have no leverage in any situation. They're just going to be getting his contract off the books for 2022, and it's going to be Jordan Love's team in 2022. I mean, maybe he just has this incredible year, and he falls back in love with Green Bay and says, you know what, there's nothing better than being a Green Bay Packer. But I don't think that's going to happen. He's pretty stubborn, so I think most likely the Packers will have one chance with him. And after that, he's going to go win a Super Bowl in Denver, just like Peyton Manning did, and it'll be just brutal.
But then why would the Packers trade him if they're going to get nothing back? Then he'll be in Green Bay in 2022. And, then the Packers lose again because he walks away for nothing. But as you're pointing out, like, what team, if you're not going to get, if you're, I'm not sure that trade can be made under the scenario that you just played out.
I think that they're signing something saying we will trade you if you request a trade, if you want to be traded. I don't know how that works contractually, but I mean, this Schefter tweet from last night says if the Packers sign off on their willingness to trade Aaron Rodgers and the agreement is finalized, the MVP will receive the freedom to decide where he wants to play in 2022.
The 2023 year is going to be voided, and they are going to agree to review his situation at the end of the year. Is how it's put. To me, this is the Packers conceding that they screwed up and they can only salvage one more year out of the deal. I don't know how this isn't the exact same thing that was done with the Bulls and Jordan and Pippen, where they wanted to keep it going, and the short-sighted, they thought Jerry Krause always thought he was the smartest guy in the room and could figure out how to keep the dynasty going without Jordan and Pippen. Same thing. You drafted Jordan Love. You did this to yourself, Packers. Totally. I got no
You're right,
sympathy.
but Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be there. Jordan Pippen wanted to be there.
Because of that.
Well, Aaron Rodgers doesn't not want to be in Green Bay. He doesn't want to be associated with Brian Gutekunst and Mark Murphy. Like, almost everything about the situation is a parallel to that last dance, other than the 6 championships.
Yeah, I was going to say, other than the fact that they were the greatest champions of all time, and Rodgers has only got 1.
I think
Craig
he should go to
pointed
the
that out.
Bears. Really stick it to him.
It's not like that hasn't happened with a Hall of Fame Packers quarterback before, going to an in-division team that were far to the Vikings back in the day. 803-404-6100 if you would like to weigh in. The text line up and rolling this morning. Love Chevy phone lines open for you as well. Gene just says Rodgers 1, Packers 0 on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Again, 803-404-6100. Other news out of the NFL yesterday, not good news for Deshaun Watson. We'll discuss that when we come back. I mean, John from Somerville did say, let's talk Clemson today. That's it's the early game here, almost 7-5.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn Staley.
I guess theoretically they could trade Rodgers in the middle of the season, but he's only going to sign off on where he wants to go.
Adams has won no rings.
But was the best wide receiver in football last year. Agreed?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I didn't get into it too much, but I saw where something about the ratings for the new Madden game, and people were complaining about certain receivers getting certain. I can't remember which one couldn't even get a 90 rating, and people were going crazy. Did you see that recently?
I looked at the ratings. I don't know if I really took note of it because I was on the Madden page because I saw there was a video where J.C. Horn was in it. He's always every rookie's always upset about their grade.
That, and apparently in Madden this year, you've got a home field advantage. The Saints have the best, I think, home field advantage where players can just forget their plays.
In Madden?
Yeah.
If you were playing a head-to-head game against one of your friends and the computer just decided that your team was going to forget the play, oh my gosh.
Well, I think it's technically what it is like one of your wide receivers runs the wrong route, forgets the play.
Were people mad about Justin Jefferson? Or AJ Brown? I don't know.
The only reason I really noticed is because I typed in Madden because Austin is full bore on making sure we have Madden pre-ordered. Just in
I'm
case.
looking at the top wide receivers. It's not. I don't think it's egregious. I don't see anything that.
I can't remember who it was. It was something about somebody not getting a 90 rating.
All right, we're heading back in.
That was quick.
Have a little shorter break.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry.
Maybe DK.
Guys, right.
Still can catch plenty of baseball in town. Obviously, the Fireflies over at Sager Park for their minor league games, but in place this weekend going to be American League State Championship Baseball from July 30th to August 1st. The halftime show will be out there on Friday. It's going to be 8 teams, and you know if you're playing at the state championship for the American Legion, you're likely going to move on in your career to college baseball. So go see these guys before they actually get to college. Tickets just $10 for adults, $5 for students. You can get them at the stadium. Again, over at Columbia Firefly Park, their Sager Park, July 30th through August 1st. The South Carolina American League State Championships at Sager Park, sponsored by West Columbia Post 79 and Billy Oswald Law Firm. Again, 30th through August 1st. And Tommy Moody will be out there on Friday checking it out for himself on the halftime show from 1 to 4. You can go by and see him as well. Mentioned the latest for the Deshaun Watson saga yesterday. I guess his lawyer speaking with ESPN and making it known that there are 10 criminal complaints against him, not to mention or in combination with 22 women filing civil action against Deshaun Watson. And out of those 22, I guess 8 of those 10 now filing criminal deals. So there are 2 out of the There are 22 women civilly suing Deshaun Watson, not even including 2 out of the 10 who have filed criminal charges against him. I just find this fascinating that this comes out the day after the Houston Texans say they're now willing to trade him. It's not going to happen, is it, Patrick? How could a team take Deshaun Watson at this point?
I don't know, especially when the reports yesterday where the Texans' asking price was a combination of five high picks and like solid players. I forgot what the verbiage was there,
I
but
think it was 3.
yeah, they're coming out
3
simultaneously.
3 first-rounders and 2 difference makers, I believe, is how I saw it labeled.
Yeah, they could take 5 first-round picks, they take 3 first-round picks and 2 good players, some combination of that. But for that, both these pieces of information to be coming out at the same time, I don't even know how to read that. Like, I guess for the Texans, sure, get rid of him. They'll do whatever they can to get him off their hands at this point now. But if your team is thinking about making that trade right now, I mean, that is just crazy. It'd be so irresponsible for any team to try and take that on, especially with all the assets you'd have to leverage your future to try and bring him in for the next 15 years, and you don't even know if he's ever going to be allowed to play again.
Just while training camp opens up and Watson will report to Texans training camp is the story to avoid getting fined $50,000 a day. An absolute mess, right? And this continues the narrative that has been the Houston Texans. As mismanaged as possible, seemingly from the outside looking in, and the product on the field just has continued to decline. And now not even, at least they had J.J. Watt, so somebody that the fans could rally around last season, and now that he's gone, you just feel like this thing has just gone right down the tubes, huh?
I don't know what they could have done about this, though. I mean, assuming they didn't know any of this was going on. But, I mean, Watson, early in the offseason, everybody was on Watson's side. Yeah, get him out of Houston. Right. Houston's such a bad organization. And then all this comes out, and it's like, oh, my gosh. I don't know how the Texans could have seen this one coming. But that's what they need. They need 5 picks for Deshaun Watson because there's not a good player on that roster outside of Deshaun Watson.
You've talked about
and Laramie Tunsil.
In terms of mismanagement of our roster and the draft, that's where they've been even more incredible. Yeah. I mean, some of the trades certainly, but man, kind of crazy. I think it's a very interesting situation. A lot of people pointing out yesterday, if he's not on the exempt list by now, what does it take to get him on the exempt list?
We will continue to discuss as we roll on here on a Tuesday morning. Plenty of other football to get back into, including the latest on the Oklahoma and Texas situation. Oklahoma State sounding off yesterday, Texas A&M meeting yesterday. So everybody's reacting to the news and trying to posture accordingly. How will it all shake out? Nobody, I don't think, has the answer for that, at least not publicly. But we'll do our best. Hour 2 on the way here. It's the early game on 107.5. So what you got on now? Now that dressage is done,
it's not done. It's still
still watching the trotting, huh?
Still not understanding it, but they're all just watching without volume also, and they're all walking off, pumping their fists. Confuses me because I was watching the United States gymnasts do that yesterday. Every time they were so pumped up, and then they didn't medal. They got 5th place. I was like, yeah, what? So I thought the excitement meant that we were winning. Can't gauge it that way.
Did you see the coach for the Australian swimmer that beat Ledecky?
Yeah.
And his reaction.
I think people are upset about that.
Why?
That was the tweet I read. Oh, just a crime to the sport or whatever.
That he cheered?
I cheered.
That's crazy.
Swimming's not even one of those sports, though. Swimming is known for the team and everybody being loud and energetic and excited, like bringing your own energy to the meets. It's not like tennis or golf where you're not supposed to show
Exactly.
emotion. Every time, every video I saw of them shown on the Olympic channel, they were laughing at it though.
Well, I mean, it was funny.
It was objectively funny. Yeah.
Oh, we got a little baseball in Japan.
Women's team gymnastic final is on now.
They just had this is not.
There's Simone Biles.
This is softball.
Reasons to treat yourself to a frozen drink from McDonald's. Go on.
I hope I didn't miss Simone Biles doing the vaults because I was watching
God.
dressage.
They just had they had air rifle. I was watching
That's a ridiculous looking event.
I was watching mixed team air rifle.
I saw somebody tweet out a picture of somebody shooting with their hand in their pocket, and they're like, "This posture is amazing."
I think I might like the Winter Olympics more.
That's a hot take.
I know, and I've never vocalized that ever, but I think I'm thinking it right now.
Well, you don't like sunlight.
There you
Be
go.
part of it.
I just like watching sports that I have no idea what's going on and would never watch, and that's almost every single event in the Winter Olympics, except for hockey.
Skeleton. Can we all agree skeleton is the greatest sport ever in the Olympics?
Skeleton is very scary.
No doubt. Crazy.
Pretty sure someone died in the Olympics, last Olympics doing skeleton.
I think you're right.
I would bobsled though. I would go for it. See,
That looks intriguing.
Bobsled?
Gary.
I don't know what kind of speeds they're picking up in that event, but
Aren't they going like 80 or something?
I was gonna say
stupid like
it'd
that?
be quite the
very
rush.
fast.
Yeah. Only the team one though, where there's like 5 people in there. I just want to be tucked inside everybody else and just be along for the ride.
World record is 93 miles an hour in a bobs.
That's pretty
bobsleigh.
fast.
I don't want to be the one, and I don't know the names of the team members, but the one who pushes off and then has to jump in.
Yeah.
I would face plant probably 80% of the time. That person gets mad respect.
Skeletons speeds up to 90 miles an hour as well.
All right, y'all want to see Jen be the happiest that she's probably ever been on the show, or the most proud?
Mm,
Is that your resignation letter?
You want to know what Austin and I purchased last night?
What'd you purchase?
NASCAR Heat 5.
Stop it.
Yeah, we were racing. It had 30 tracks. We won Darlington, and I was
Nice.
second in Daytona. So it was the 2020 race. I was using Denny Hamlin, of course.
This is a video game?
Yeah,
How
it's
fun.
the last year's version, so it was $10. But he's decided he wanted a NASCAR game. So
Good for him.
so we did like all the little practice rounds last night, and today he's going to bump it up to a harder level.
Excellent. Good for him.
So yeah, the only problem was then he kept asking me questions about NASCAR that I couldn't answer.
They just call the woman down the street.
I was gonna say I told him we'd just bring you over and let you play. But yeah, a little NASCAR action last night.
That's very fun. I'm glad.
What are the outfits that gymnasts wear called?
leotards.
Leotards.
that's what I
That's
thought.
the one. They're very sparkly.
Yeah.
Patrick, did you already say something about softball this morning, or is this
No.
is this the first inning of Japan versus USA in softball?
Oh, that's our rival.
Yeah, I know it's a big match. That's why I just fixed another cup of coffee.
Pretty sure Japan won the gold medal.
Put some
In the
chicken
last
wings in the
Olympics.
air fryer. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go.
I'm pretty sure Japan beat America in the gold medal match in 2016 Olympics.
The
There's some-
game. The softball game. It's not a match. Stop it.
It's also softball's did not make the cut for Paris, so that's an even
What?
bigger deal.
Yeah, I think they're on again, off again.
Yeah.
Jessica Mendoza talking about that. I don't think they played in the last ones either. I think it might not have been 08 since the last time they had it.
Dang.
Oh, Tim, I feel like you talked about this the other day. This is where they're playing, but like they're playing on a baseball field, so everything is kind of. They just showed first base, and it's way down the line.
Yeah. Running all
Simone Biles is up right now.
Let me turn this thing on.
Now is this
Oh, it's a gold medal game. Whoa.
it's a gold medal game? All right. We're gonna see Patrick as
I'm in.
patriotic best here.
No, Simone Biles is about to do the vault.
Yep.
I was Craig. Atta boy. Send us some pictures.
Had her
This is
best
what
landing.
people came to see.
So baseball didn't get picked up either, huh? Thank you, Travis.
Ooh. I don't think that was a good. Oh no, that was a bad vault from Simone Biles.
Yeah, it was not a
She's
good landing.
Wow, she's upset right now.
What channel are y'all on?
I'm
live streaming.
double screening right now. I got softball and gymnastics on.
We're gonna need more ideas of what channel, because right now one of my things says
This might
tennis.
be more
We're up, Bill.
dysfunctional than our usual dysfunction. Right now, we think it's the 13-hour time difference, right? So 8 p.m. in Tokyo right now, prime time. It's why we've got viewing that you've got going right now, Patrick. In one eye, you're watching the gold medal game between Team USA softball and Japan, and in the other eye, you've got your eye on the gymnastics finals there, correct? Where Simone Biles just did not do a vault like she's normally
And
doing.
right now, I'm
Disappointing.
running ahead of Patrick. So like when
Gotcha.
he mentioned it and what happened, I had already
You'd
seen
just
it
seen
like a
it.
minute before.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
I could really be ruining things.
Even more so.
Wow.
More so.
Yeah, she stumbled. She didn't land right.
Mm-mm. She like lunged.
Easy on the breakdown, Patrick.
She flipped a lot of times though. It was impressive until the landing.
So, wait a second. How is this going? Is this the team finals, Jen? Let's
Yeah.
go to the gymnastics expert. Nope, she says.
Oh no, I'm not it.
Patrick says she's in maybe with the two.
It
of
is.
them.
It is
Yeah,
the team.
women's
It is
team
the team
finals.
finals. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do we know who else has a chance at the gold medal there? What other countries?
Rock has been just cleaning up in these Olympics, even though they're banned.
The Russia Olympic.
Yeah,
Committee.
yeah, I saw
Yep.
Okay. And how does this work? Is it like 5 teams that go in the team deal, and then the top 3 win the medal, or something like that? You have to-
Yeah, it's something like that. I'm seeing China go right now. They're
Okay.
usually good in the Olympics or in the gymnastics. I mean,
Mhm.
Japan won gold on the men's side. I don't know how strong they are on the female side.
Right, you can't get Olympic breakdowns like this anywhere else, but on the early game, Columbia, South Carolina. We probably will shift our discussion more towards the football at this point, especially with the drama continuing with Oklahoma and Texas. And again, Bill, as the days go on, it only solidifies, I think, our original take on this thing, that this thing is going to happen, right? That's what continues to happen for me, especially after yesterday, the latest Texas A&M Board of Regents meet. They don't put out any kind of public statement, which I think was a wise move, and I'm sure highly encouraged by the SEC office. Also, Oklahoma State, it was their school president, I think, or maybe AD, I think it was school president, who went out publicly yesterday and kind of ripped the University of Oklahoma for joining forces with Texas and turning their backs on the state of Oklahoma, is how Oklahoma State put that.
Yeah, I was hoping Oklahoma would put out a statement and say, hey, look, if we go to the SEC, bringing in all these teams to Norman to play at our stadium, it's going to help the economy, which is going to help the state. People are going to travel from around. Actually, we're helping the state. What are you guys doing to help the state? So it's kind of the response I was pulling for. Yes.
Not our job to pull your weight this state. How about that?
This is where we need T Boone. This would not have happened.
It's true. It's true. He would be very much in the middle of it. I think you're right, Tim. What we now know, what, 5 business days later? It was Thursday that this all came out. It was Thursday, Wednesday. It was Wednesday when this all came out, and poor Greg Sankey had to deal with it on Thursday. But so what you get now here is, because when it came out, I think all of us did that thing where it was like, oh, this is rumor. You hear about these things every once in a while. It's just speculation. And as it's developed, yesterday, Oklahoma and Texas sending a letter confirming of their intention to not renew their media grant of rights in 2025, which is the first step in going to the SEC. Now we've learned more and more. I mean, pretty much anything that comes out now, you really start to believe things such as, well, this has been in the works for 6 to 8 months previous. Like, this didn't just occur over this summer. This is pretty far down the line right now. And yeah, it's going to happen. And so to me, the storyline for me, where I now move to, because I think the SEC adding Oklahoma and Texas is imminent. Again, there's a SEC meeting that is scheduled to happen on Thursday. I think there's no confirmation whether that will or will not include a vote. And I'm going to be honest, guys, maybe Texas A&M votes to not let Texas in. Maybe. I think it's 50-50. But now I think that the presidents and the athletic directors are completely informed of the situation. Don't be shocked on whenever this vote happens, if it happens Thursday or if it happens next week or if it happens in the next few weeks, if it's 14-0 in favor of adding these two teams, or 13-1 at worst. I think the worry about having the votes, all South Carolina and Georgia and Florida and Kentucky are all going to band together with Oklahoma. No, this thing's going to either be 13-1 in favor of adding them, and basically the SEC says, all right, Texas A&M, do what you need to do to appease your fan base. Give us that no vote just so you can tell your fan base you did everything possible and that nobody else backed you. Or it'll be just a straight 14-0 vote. And so to me, that's happening. This is happening. What is the next direction of college football? And that's kind of what we got into a little bit in the first hour. What does the Big Ten try to do here? What does the ACC want to do? Do they want to stand pat? Are they happy with the revenue distribution that they've already got in their conference? Does adding anybody else really help you with adding revenue to your conference? Because that's exactly what it's about now. Or is the SEC going to try and force the hand of everybody and say you're going to 16 teams? What is the next step for college football? Now, I'm intrigued to see, where does the AAC play into this? Can they snap up some teams and become semi-relevant? Just semi-relevant if you add a couple there. Does the Pac-12 make a move? Yeah, to me, it's all fascinating now to see the landscape of college football and what we're going to get in the next 3 weeks that probably reshapes maybe the next 30 years.
When was the last time a team went from a non-Power 5 conference to join a Power 5 conference, or just that to begin with? And then has it ever happened where they kind of just became like one of the powers of the sport, or became like a really good team?
Well, we'll take Notre Dame out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
They were technically part of the ACC last year. And
like a Cincinnati is what I'm thinking of, because Cincinnati,
Right.
I do feel like if the Big Ten gave them full resources, gave them a bunch of money, if Luke Fickell stuck around the way they're recruiting and building that program, they could potentially be a bit of a force to be reckoned with in college football.
Well, you got to mention South Carolina as well. South Carolina and Cincinnati both used to be in the Metro Conference, and then the Gamecocks joined the SEC in '92. Now, you said become a power. I think that certainly is not the case, but there are a lot of examples out there. I think might be your point, Patrick. And especially here in recent memory, Bill, I can't come up with a really prime example to say almost where Central Florida might be poised to be as a school that's grown a bunch and then clearly improved its football program and might be attractive to some of these Power 5 conferences accordingly.
And Boise.
I would give you TCU. TCU went from the Mountain West to the Big 12 and was co-champions in 2014. They went 12-1. Now TCU's not been, I think, anything that we would label a national power, but in 2014 they had joined the Big 12. They were co-champions. I think that was the year, Tim. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, that there was the great debate about whether they should have been in the college football playoff, and I want to say maybe Ohio State jumped them. Does that seem correct to you?
Yeah, seems correct as I'm checking out the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Interesting takes here of like Michael. I think he's with Gene, who earlier said, I hope we can finally move on from this. Again, we're not even a week old, and this is such a seismic shift in college sports. Why we are giving it as much discussion as we are. Michael says, I hope today we can move on from all this SEC talk and cover the actual sports that are going on. Maybe you guys can start with baseball. Yankees game on Sunday, almost a no-hitter today.
Almost a no-hitter.
There are
Michael,
7 in the big leagues this year.
dude, we're going to talk about an almost no-hitter in the Yankees game.
Kangaroo Kyle says, what would it take from North Dakota State to join the Big Ten? A lot. And basically this comes down. Papa Joe says, morning, guys. What's the criteria for being in the SEC now? Doesn't seem like there's any. Pretty soon Boise State's going to sign up. Well, criteria has always been you got to generate, you got to hold it be attractive for the conference to bring in. You have to bring the conference up. And whether that's an added television market, Missouri and Texas A&M, or added competitive depth, South Carolina and Arkansas, where you can get a championship game back in the day, you have to bring something to the table. Besides blue turf, Boise State doesn't bring much to the table. Oklahoma and Texas brings a lot to the table and a lot of money, a lot of perennial powerhouse prestige in college football. That's the criteria. You're right. As far as being in the Southeast, obviously that thing's gone that thing's been gone a long time. Kelly hits the stuff, says, morning. After spending 9 days in St. Thomas, it's good to be back hearing friendly voices. Can you imagine having missed the last 9 days being outside the country and coming back to this?
Well, I'll tell you what, if somebody wants us to talk sports, we just hit a triple we got a girl on third here in the USA Japan Gold game. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
That's impressive.
I'm about to watch it. There it goes. Shot.
He ruined
Center field.
Center field. Yeah.
Oh, nearly went over. Japanese
Well,
center fielder.
Now we're talking sports.
God,
Is this what we want? This is live sports. This is what's going on right now. You want to talk sports and not expansion? We got you covered on the Japan USA Gold game here, which is being played on a baseball field, which is throwing me off severely. Like half of the outfield is the base path. Tim, you brought this up the other day. It's kind of a different.
Fit the softball field on the baseball field over there in Tokyo. Not ideal is how I've seen the softball pundits phrase it. Michael says, so what actually is the general feeling on how quickly this could happen with Oklahoma and Texas? We discussed that a lot yesterday. 2025, it's the summer of 2025, right? It's after that spring season ends is when the media rights will not be renewed now. And that became official yesterday. So that would be the latest. The football season of 2025 seems to be the absolute latest that Oklahoma and Texas would join the SEC at this point. But I think we all agree that we would be surprised if it goes all the way until then, and we think that deals are being worked out right now. The details of the money and the whole thing to move that up at least a year, possibly two, where you're seeing the 2023 season from the SEC. Isn't that the conclusion we came to yesterday, Bill?
Yeah, and I don't know why Matt Hayes is working for Saturday Down South now, but he used to work for Sporting News and has always been a pretty good writer. Had an article yesterday with his sources, and again, he's somebody that I would consider more reputable. So when he puts something like this out, I tend to believe there is validity to it. And his article yesterday stated right now the expectation amongst Oklahoma, Texas, and the SEC is for them to start play in 2022. As has been pointed out, Missouri and Texas A&M, same situation. They were added officially in 2011 and were on the field in 2012 in the SEC. The feeling is between ESPN, the schools themselves, and the SEC coming up with $80 million apiece for the exits for Texas and Oklahoma will not be that hard. I kind of lean toward next year. I think this is so far down the line. It's inconceivable, and it's not true that they haven't already looked at the numbers and said, oh yeah, $80 million to buy you out and get you in the SEC in 2022. Yeah, that's no problem. Here's how we'll figure out going about doing that. That's not a problem. I think all the logistics have already been worked out. I will even go as far as to say that whoever does the scheduling in the SEC probably already has an idea of what they're going to do for next year. It's more of a matter now of doing all the formal steps that are required to get Texas and Oklahoma into the league. And I honestly would be surprised if they are not part of the SEC next year.
So Alabama's going to play Texas in Jerry World Week 0 and beat them by 100.
You know what? Let me just
Go ahead and lock it in.
Let me just point this out, because you guys remember last Monday we were doing the show and we were just going over things we were interested for SEC Media Day. And I said, on a personal level, I should be back at SEC Media Day next year. And I expected Greg Sankey to announce where SEC Media Day would be in 2022. You notice he didn't do that, right?
Yeah,
You already know where
I wanna go. Yeah, we know where you're going too. You're going to Jerry World for SEC.
Yeah, I was
Media
going to
Day.
say,
Can I come?
we already know in 2023 it's in Nashville.
Yeah.
So the quick announcement of, hey, good to see you guys next year. We'll be really back to force, and we'll all be doing it here in Birmingham or in Atlanta at the College Football Hall of Fame. When it happened at the time on Monday, the fact that he didn't announce where they were going to be at next year, I know it's minor compared to all the other million things going on across college football. Where are they going to have SEC Media Day? It was just something because it involved my travel next year. And when he didn't announce it, I was like, huh, that's kind of weird, but all right, whatever. And now it kind of all makes sense. We'll have to just wait. But yes, I fully expect to be in Jerry World for SEC. I mean, they were already talking about doing it at some point anyway. Now it just makes all the sense in the world.
You're not going to fly into the Wolfpack's got to make that 14-hour drive. Good luck.
So
803.
the Wolfpack heads to Dallas. That's going to be live streaming material right there.
Heath Klein, Bill Gunter, Jay Phillips. Destination Dallas 2022. 803-404-6100. If you'd like to join, you can call or text. Wow, what a world we're living in. Not only are we talking about this proposed SEC expansion, but we've got women's gymnastics team finals right now live. We've got Team USA softball versus Japan gold medal game live, coming off of USC women's basketball. Asia Wilson leading the way. Columbia's own 19 points, 13 rebounds. No problem in their opening game, a 9-point win, the 50th in a row in Olympic play for USC, for the USA women's basketball team. It's the early game here on 107.5.
107.5 The Game. The game is on everywhere. On the air, online, on your phone, or on the app, Alexa, in the shower.
Sweet potato fries, hot dog, chicken. What else was on the floor yesterday for my 1-year-old? It was an absolute mess at dinner. Anything we threw that kid's way, he threw it right directly on the floor, which reminded me how much I appreciate Zero Res helping us out at my house, because we need all the help and then some we can get these days with that 1-year-old just making an absolute mess. Zero Res carpet and air duct cleaning's been out to my house a couple of times, and when they've left, the house has felt completely different. That new house smell and feel was there, and it's stayed there for a long time. Even with the 1-year-old, I got the 6 and 8-year-old boys as well trying to trash it. Zero Res helping us fight the good fight. They can help you as well, and they're going to do it differently than anybody else. They have a patented powered water system, no harsh chemicals involved in their cleaning process. That's especially important to us at our house these days. Also, no leftover soapy residue to attract dirt into the carpets. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. And right now, they've got a great deal for you here in the summer. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119 plus a free hallway. When you mention me, Tim Hill, you can book your appointment right now, ZeroResColumbia.com. Give them a call at 803-262-4020. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. All right, I'll give it a graphic to update the score there. Got any score in the softball game?
I'm buffering at the moment.
Runner at third.
She had to have scored. There was a wild hit.
We did not.
Oh,
They
no.
struck us out.
What happened to that runner on third, though? Did she get picked off?
No, she's there. She just got stranded there.
So are they
because
through
I saw
one
a
yet?
wild pitch. I saw a wild pitch that advanced the runner to second, but the runner on third was nowhere to be seen.
Oh, you got a good point.
Thank you.
What inning we talking about there?
Oh,
First,
she got thrown out at home.
mm.
They in the first still? They in the second?
We're in the now you got hold on.
The
We're
first
in
just
the
ended.
we're in the bottom of the we're heading to the second.
All right, so this is accurate, eh?
Hey.
What is accurate?
I don't know how you update gymnastics in real time. Simone Biles.
I don't
Yikes.
somebody just put a tweet out that she was seen walking back to the training room with her trainer.
Oh no.
Oh, so the wild pitch, the wild pitch didn't go that far. Good Lord, they clobbered the poor girl sliding into home plate. But yeah, so the wild pitch is how our girl got thrown out at home.
Let's do.
It's close between the ROC and the United States right now, but ROC is still leading in the team.
There was I was just scrolling Twitter, and I think it was from the New York Times.
Yeah, they've been.
Yeah, New York Times. For a country barred from the Olympics, Russia is very much a presence at this summer's Tokyo 2020 games.
Yeah.
Well, the men's,
Actually, one Russian journalist admitted this week. Actually, it does not feel like we are banned at all.
it's very weird. So they can just come under a new name. So, like, can Deshaun Watson change his name and play football without a worry of all this stuff going on with all these women?
You haven't heard about Wasan Dotson coming back for the Texans this year?
You know, I mean, is that all you have to do? Change your name and we're good.
What was that? Was it Deion Sanders and that alter ego, whatever he had a couple years ago, Sandcastle? Does that seem right? They had the old players that were coming back. Y'all remember those commercials?
Leon Sandcastle? Yeah.
Deion Sandcastle, yeah.
Oh man. Remember, I was not competing on the bars. Something happened to her.
That's not good.
Well, this lady just I can't watch. It's not on regular TV. I guess you're saving that maybe for the
prime
night.
time tonight.
Huh?
They'll air it in prime time tonight.
Oh, hot dogs. I think do some hot dog grilling.
Should I loan you some supplies to make really good ones?
What do you mean? I'm terrified to ask you from the Midwest, growing up on a farm. I feel like there's going to be a hot dog press. You'll probably bring over a few pigs.
No. The stuff, the Vienna beef, hot dogs, and the seeded buns, and the.
I think we're going to go turkey dogs.
Okay. You're not gonna eat them that often.
I think we traumatized Ansley last night. We did some shrimp. We did kind of a low country boil, and we're talking about getting crab legs, and then they got brought up about steaming crabs or how you have to cook them live. And Ansley seemed horrified at this. So
yeah,
she would never make it in Maryland.
I don't like that. Yeah. I don't want to think too hard about it.
Yeah. So
I'm not the one that can go in the restaurant and see the lobster crawling along and then, knowing that they're going to take it and.
Yeah. That's what you get on the live stream.
You're right. Did you see we have a phone call?
I did. Kelvin say?
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
I was going to try to not drink coffee this morning, but now I have a headache, so I need to.
Oh, boy.
Addiction.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Uh-oh. Oh, what a catch.
You only get play-by-play like this at one place, folks.
And Patrick is like, stop it.
Yeah, now I'm about to see it.
All right, fine, yep.
It's probably a good thing this is a morning show. The live sports combined with carry on the conversation, difficult for us for sure, especially now that you have 2 gold medal Team USA events going on. Softball still 0-0 through 1 with Japan. Patrick's mouth is agape, I
Through
believe.
1.5.
Gymnastics,
No.
Team USA women.
That was what Bill was just yelling about in the softball game. A laser to right field, and our right fielder made a great over-the-shoulder catch to end the inning. There was a runner on second. She for sure would have scored if that ball landed. So, yeah. This has been a really intense game because in the first inning, Japan had a runner on third that was running home with 2 outs, and it was, an inch where they made the play at first to tag out the hitter. So barely got out of that one alive. And then the U.S. had a runner thrown out at home in the bottom of the first, and then the top of the second, we just had that awesome catch. That was probably a foot from being a home run as well. So
Yeah, it was.
I guess I probably should have told you before that update. If you're planning on watching this later today, you might not want to tune in now and get spoiled. 13-hour time difference between us and Tokyo. Also, Team USA, the headline right now is Team USA Women's Gymnastics, right? Going for the gold. And the team competition being led by greatest of all time is what she's called in Simone Biles. And there's an injury to report. Is that correct, gentlemen?
yeah, apparently she in the vault. I thought it was just a bad landing, but apparently she cut off her they said she stopped short or cut it off. Something happened, I guess, as she launched and left with the team doctor for a while. Came back, talked to her teammates, but she will not be doing the uneven bars right now. One of her other teammates is filling in for her.
I am seeing it reported within the minute that she is out for the entire team final.
Oh my goodness. What the heck?
Developing story. Who was just calling us out, Michael, for not talking about sports that's going on?
Yeah, we're cooking. We are
within
all
the minute
over it.
from Tokyo, Michael.
Sick almost no hitter
Sunday.
Yeah.
The almost no hitter for 2 days ago. We're within the seconds here. Simone Biles news. I know
this just goes to show you when you do the morning show, you're so excited for live sports to be on to bring it to you. Like with the British Open, we're just geared up, but now we get a little bit of this, and we're just fired up to be able to have so much going on. With
I think maybe tomorrow or the next day we should all be eating some kind of rice dish, some Oriental food or something to kind of go along and using chopsticks and stuff, because that could be a sport within itself.
For sure. Japanese cuisine. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
He also helping us out, confirming the news that Simone Biles just ruled out of the team finals for Team US. So this is why you got to have some solid depth. I think Will Muschamp, I can hear him in the back of my head, next man up, even though it doesn't make much sense for women's Team USA gymnastics. But this is where your competitive depth gets tested when your superstar goes out. See what Team USA can do. Again, going against China, the Russian Olympic Committee also in this thing. Who else?
Italy. And if I'm judging by these colors correctly, this looks like Belgium.
What kind of colors we seeing then? We're seeing a yellow and a red,
black, red, and yellow and white.
Okay,
yeah,
that's close.
Do they have fragrance that smells like chocolate?
Or stroopwafel.
Trey says, driving into work shortly. Please keep the Olympic updates coming. We're doing our best here. We're doing our best to keep you updated within the minute. Again.
It was Belgium. I was right, by the way. Update. I was right.
Congratulations. That's Patrick's his favorite update for sure.
I'm right.
Rich, Texas is used to be the top dog getting its way. How are they going to respond to being just another team? I mean, the expansion happens. Where does Texas fit right now? We had another question saying Oklahoma is obviously one of the top dogs in the SEC when it comes to football. What about Texas? 6-8 was the suggestion. Patrick just held up 7 fingers. Let's hear the justification for putting Texas right smack in the middle of a new 14. I guess it'll be 16. So slightly above the exact middle of the new super conference in the SEC.
Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Florida.
That's in order, I assume, correct?
Yeah, in order.
Okay.
And then LSU, Texas A&M, Texas.
Bill, do you agree with those power rankings? Quickly done off Patrick's fingers.
I'd probably have. I mean, it depends on how much you want to punish LSU for 1 year that was last year, and so that's probably because I'd probably have them in a tie with LSU, but I would have Texas A&M ahead of them. So 6 or 7, depending on what you want to do with LSU based on 1 year. If you're of the belief that last year was the anomaly for Ed Orgeron, and that he can get that program back to being a lot more than it was last year, then I'd have them 7. If you think that what we saw from Ed Orgeron last year is who he is as a coach and who that program will be going forward, I'd have Texas at 6 ahead of LSU.
Anthony, a great suggestion. Put it on the board, Patrick. What's the whiteboard for if we're not doing our SEC power rankings, new SEC power rankings with Texas and Oklahoma included? My question to you guys is, and Bill, as you mentioned, how much do you punish LSU for last year? How much credit do you give Texas A&M, I think? My question is, how long do you think Texas stays in that group, in that middle group? Or now, if they're in the SEC, where Texas A&M will not have that recruiting advantage anymore, does that them poised to get back towards the top of the conference and then obviously the top of college football? Or is it way too early to tell, having as much coaching turnover as they've had recently and Steve Sarkisian coming in as the head coach this year? Is it just too early to project what they might become here in the next several years?
Well, the sky's the limit for them, but I don't know necessarily what Texas coming to the SEC does for them. You know, we've had South Carolina fans who have called in the last few days and said, well, this doesn't help us at all. This makes our path more difficult to a national championship. You know, outside of revenue for Texas, who already has tons of revenue and is just trying to avoid a sinking ship in what is the Big 8 or the tag-along 8 or what is officially the Big 10, this makes Texas' path to a national championship that much harder, right? Like, I mean,
no doubt. No doubt.
This hurts them conceivably. South Carolina, you know, has had a few years where they've been relevant, but by and large, this is far more detrimental to Texas trying to win a national championship. It's not like this is going to enhance their recruiting. Maybe they get 1 or 2 players, but the bottom line is Texas recruits really well as is. They're constantly pulling in top 5, top 10 classes. You know, I have a hard time believing, yeah, I'm sure there's a few kids in the state of Texas. Quinn Ewers. I don't think they lost Quinn Ewers because they weren't in the SEC. Patrick, would you agree with that? Like, something just happened. He was committed, and then
I think Tom Herman lost him, yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to look at Texas right now. I think it's just a matter of finding the right coach at the right time. Alabama has always had a lot of tradition. The right coach at the right time came along, and now look at what Alabama's done. Is Steve Sarkisian the guy, or is it another guy down the line that ends up being the right coach at the right time? I don't know, but I don't. This makes it more difficult. What's going to be interesting, and you discussed this just briefly a little while ago. Somebody had texted in a picture of that pod system and what it had. I don't believe that will be the system. SEC is trying to do by having more by a particular school seeing every other school in the conference more often, and I think there's easier ways to get to a to get to a conference champion than just having 2 divisions. But if you go to the 4 sets of pods, and if it does end up being kind of Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, which is what I could see that pod being. Because it's got some Southwest Conference ties there and some really old Glory Day rivalries. I think Arkansas would love to get some of those games back because some of this expansion is about getting certain teams in your stadium and trying to even if it's $100 and $115 a ticket, convincing fans to come and fill out your stadium. But yeah, I don't know where this necessarily helps Texas in terms of becoming or passing schools such as Oklahoma, Georgia, and Alabama right now. Maybe they can catch up to Florida. I think Florida still remains to be seen. LSU remains to be seen. Who knows? Maybe Auburn. Maybe Auburn's a program that gets back to being where they were over a period of time.
Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Kelvin waiting patiently to weigh in on SEC expansion with Texas and Oklahoma seeming very likely at this point. Go ahead, Kelvin.
Morning, gents.
Morning.
So, listen, man, I'm not one of these guys going to sit here and say that I like it. I don't like it. I'm a traditionalist. I like the way the conference how it's been since Missouri came in. I mean, why the hell does Oklahoma? Why do they need to come to this when you're in a Big Five conference? Like they're not the SEC. I mean, they're like going in the Southwest or something like that. Like, I don't get it, and I'm on board with South Carolina. It pushes us behind. I mean, for being a top contender in the SEC for a championship. So I think, and I'm gonna sound a little hypocritical, but I think we need to move to the ACC. I really do think we need to move to the ACC because this is an example of South Carolina, which we were already kind of, behind the 8 ball a little bit, but now with these two teams coming up, and no telling what the schedule may look like, it's just going to put us back, I believe. That's just my opinion, but we should just move to ACC and play teams over there that we might have a better chance of winning the conference than all of these schools. It's almost like the SEC is trying to go to like an NFL type of model. NFC, where you got the West, the East, the South, and 4 teams per, conference. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not all for it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to say it. I know money has a lot to do with it, all this crap, but I don't care about that, man. Like, leave us alone. Nobody's from the SEC trying to run over to the Big 10 or Big 12 or Pac-12 or none of that crap. Everybody's like coming in our territory, just making it worse than making it what they want it to be. I don't know, but I don't like it. I think we should move to ACC now and at least consider it. And I hope Coach Tanner is considering it.
Well, I'll tell you this, Kelvin. Kelvin, if you go to the ACC, your odds of getting into the playoff actually are diminished because right now it's Clemson and everybody else. And that's part of this move. If you're in the top 6 of the SEC, if this 12-team playoff comes to fruition, if you're going to be in the top 6, you've got a chance. I mean, it's going to depend on factors. Obviously, this is a hypothetical, and there's a lot of factors that would go into that. But the conference champion of the SEC is definitely in. And then there's a chance that you could end up with 4 or 5 other spots in the college football playoff. You go to the ACC right now, Clemson will go in because they'll be the conference champ and maybe 1 or 2 other schools. You'd have to be in the top 3 of the ACC every year to do that and to have it to be in the playoff discussion. And quite frankly, I don't know if South Carolina would get there.
Patrick, you disagree?
And so,
no, I agree. I hope Kelvin's feeling better after that. He let it all out.
But yeah, and he's not alone. And there are multiple. I feel like the fad in national media right now is to shake your fist and say this is bad for college sports. You're losing the community and the sanctity of what college athletics has always been, and you're selling out for the money. Really? 14-16 is selling out for the money? I mean, that article should have been written back when South Carolina and Arkansas went into the conference, right? I mean, you could write that article at every round of expansion. But to bring Oklahoma and Texas in, to strengthen the conference in that way, I go the other way. I think you'd be crazy not to. Especially as we sit here in 2021. Look, college football has been a big business for how many decades now? This is nothing new. Let's not pretend that just recently college football got to be a big business. It's just the latest, right? The latest sparkling facilities, the latest expansion of stadiums or changing it to suites and the whole deal. Interesting to see the reaction here, too. Matthew says, is this guy trolling? Go to the ACC? I think especially from a South Carolina perspective, it would be looked at as such a weak move to go from the SEC to the ACC. And are you telling me as a football fan, you'd rather see a win against Wake Forest instead of challenging Oklahoma or Texas? Are you telling me you'd rather see 8-4 in the SEC instead of 5-7 in the SEC? I find that hard to believe. I know people
far. I think
really.
Yeah, I think people want to win.
People want to win, but Bill, the entire narrative of the state of South Carolina in the last couple of decades has been South Carolina at least plays a real football schedule while the ACC walks over cupcakes. And Gamecock fans are willing to stick that in their back pocket now, complete foot in mouth, and come hat in hand to the SEC. I'm going to try to fill in as many cliches as I possibly can in 10 seconds there. And say, oh, no, guys, we were just kidding about that last few decades that we've been talking complete smack against your conference, and now we'd like to join. Please have us. We really appreciate what you guys are doing. Yeah, that's what you're thinking? That would be a good move?
Well, so my facial expressions, because I'm in the witness protection program on the live stream, don't get seen with phone calls. I was telling somebody about this yesterday. I'm like, some of the phone, I'm glad my facial expressions don't get seen.
Lake Murray's looking good back there, though. As people are walking by at 7:42, about
have some
you should charge some admission back there or something. That's your property bill.
I don't understand some of this. Like Steven on the live stream was like, college football is not as fun anymore. The more business like it gets, the less fun it is. I don't get that. Explain that. What do you mean the more business? How does it becoming more business like affect me waking up on Saturday morning, watching a show that I personally like? I think Lee Corso is a clown, but I enjoy watching him. He is a cartoon for college football.
How about caricature, sir? Easy on the clown.
How about respect your elders?
How dare you?
Hey, coming from the guy who referred to the basically all the people in Knoxville. Well, the football coach is a dork, so we got that. But
he's a dork. Knoxville's a great town, though.
But the bottom line is, like, how does this make it less fun? Like, I get it if you want to be that person. Say, well, and I still don't understand the argument. Well, it's amateurism, and that's what it should be. Look, there is nothing that's happened that's changed my viewing habits and a lot of yours on a Saturday. Whether you go into the game or not, you're going to get up. Maybe you're going to cut your grass and not watch game day because you're tired of some of it. But at noon, you're still going to have Big Ten noon games that Patrick and I get excited about, Indiana and Rutgers and a Big Ten. Yeah, exactly.
Too many neutral site games, though.
I agree with you on that, but we see it going away from that.
Yep.
It's slowly starting to shift away from that. And so probably even more great games with this instead of getting Alabama and Mercer or, some of the lesser games. You're going to get better games out of all this. Look, I just don't understand when you say it's more business-like, the less fun. What is less fun? Is Texas going to the Swamp to play Florida less fun? Is Georgia going to Norman, Oklahoma less fun? Like, if you truly love college football, not your team getting blown out by 35 or 40 points, but just college football in games, it's hard to argue that the game is becoming less fun. This year, Miami, Alabama, Penn State, Auburn, LSU, UCLA, obviously the big one, Georgia and Clemson, we're getting more of those games. Might be more expensive if you're trying to go to them, but in terms of watching it, man, I don't know. I think it's just as fun.
Bill, here's what's changed for a lot of people, though. With ticket prices going up in college football, you go to less games. But I would argue on the other end, we get to watch so many more college football games on television now. You can watch whatever you want. You guys remember pay-per-view was a thing not too long ago with SEC games. Now, it was the local games basically that weren't of interest to television networks. And I guess you could argue if you're paying SEC network prices, it's almost a pay-per-view deal. If you're going to have to buy ESPN Plus now, it's kind of like pay-per-view, just doing it a little different way. But the fact that we can watch so many games, if there is a good college football game on, odds are you can find it on television on Saturday. And then you can watch that one plus another one and another one. To me, the television product has improved immensely in the last 15 years or so, while they are charging more for seats. But If you went to Williams-Brice Stadium last year and you've seen the new suites and the whole thing, the in-stadium experience has also been enhanced as well. It is different. It is more corporate, no doubt. It hasn't gone the other way, Bill. You agree with that, right? It hasn't gone more local or more appealing to the grassroots football fan. It's gone more corporate for sure.
Has any sport ever gone that way?
Right. And there are improvements. There are pros with the cons, is what I'm just trying to point out. Now, overall, if you want to, overall, you want to tell me the cons are winning out, I guess I could buy that argument to some degree. I just think that's a lazy article to write right now for national sports writers who don't necessarily live and breathe college football 365 days a year like most of us do in the Southeast.
So wait, what are you arguing? What is the lazy take?
That Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC is ruining college football because it's coming too corporate and it's all about money. Get out of here. Money has always been a large factor, but like you mentioned, Oklahoma and Texas are making a bunch of money. And I pointed out yesterday, I think this is much more about status for them than it is just about the bottom line. We'll continue to discuss. Bill, I know you got a hot take lined up. We got to take a quick break.
No, I can't because I'm looking at a bright computer screen. I can't see the clock.
But we do have a quick update on Simone Biles.
Mm-hmm.
It is not an injury. It's an emotional, it's a mental thing.
What? You're not serious, are you?
No, I'm dead serious. They just said that on the live stream a couple minutes ago, that it is something about it is not a physical injury, but it is a mental one.
Okay. I'm glad we're taking a break here.
USA got out of the second inning. They just stung someone in the kneecap. It looked horrible. But we got out. Still 0-0 after 2.
There you go.
I got to take a break after hearing that from Jen. It's the early game. It's 107.5 the game.
Patrick, weekdays 9 until noon on 107.
you don't get in touch with Jacob Crowder and Brian Kovar, the mortgage guru team with First Palmetto Bank, you're missing a golden opportunity. Or, as Brian Kovar would tell you, you're watching the paint dry. You don't want that to happen. You don't want Brian Kovar coming to your house and telling you watch the paint dry. He'll give you a lot more Hoosiers references, probably even make you sit down and watch the Hoosiers movie just so you can get the point of that little reference. Give the mortgage guru team a call. Brian and Jacob with First Palmetto Bank, 803-719-1005. 5-minute, 10-minute phone call. That's all it takes. And see what you can qualify for, what interest rate you can get. Maybe you've got some equity in your home. You can get a little money back. You can pay off a credit card that you've built up a little bit too high. A lot of great things can happen when you just make a 5-minute phone call and speak with the mortgage guru himself, Jacob Crowder. 803-719-1005. You can email him, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. It's a quick phone call. You can even shoot him a text message, set up a time to speak. Maybe you're busy, he's a little busy, but y'all can get in touch. And again, find out what you qualify, how much money you can save. It might really be the best phone call you make all month. So don't miss the golden opportunity. 803-719-1005. He's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank.
There's a lot going on out there behind Bill. Got a ladder.
Working on somebody's porch there.
At 7:50. That's
well, I mean, yeah, you could. I'm surprised they're not actually out here earlier.
an early crew out there. All right, I have not seen this confirmed. Jen, can you tell us where you saw this emotional deal?
Hope says the same
Hope's
thing.
seen the same thing. They said it was mental and not an injury.
Yep.
But Oh, I don't understand where you're coming from. That's even worse than an injury sometimes. No, that's part of athletics is to overcome whatever's messing with your head.
Right. Well, hopefully they can kind of, I mean, she's obviously one of the best athletes and she's obviously been able to overcome whatever.
Sure.
So hopefully they can get her.
So this is the broadcast here. I guess the vault that you guys saw earlier was the worst in her career.
Oh, wow.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about it all the time, like compartmentalizing the whole deal. We've never, Bill, you never heard about this, have you? I've never heard about this.
What?
Someone leaving a competition because of, I don't know what we were going to call it, mental anguish?
Yeah, just something's in her head. So now everybody's gonna be scouring. What's going on? Does she have a boyfriend? Does she have this or that? You know,
well, but I mean, I think here's the thing. It's one thing if it's just a regular athlete. Like if it was another gymnast that we had not heard of that didn't have her own emoji that you could use right now.
Exactly. Depression.
You'd be like, oh, okay. I'd get it. Like I would totally understand. But this is supposed to be as you've already mentioned, Tim, like the greatest athlete of all time in Olympics. Like,
and you know what? That could just be too much.
Like, it could be.
Saying that, like you talked about the depth of the team, and they're saying that maybe the depth isn't very good, and she's being expected to carry that entire team, and that could have just been like just too much.
But I will say this. Like somebody has to protect her in that situation and go, yeah, she's got something happened to her ankle. Like somebody's got to step up and.
Yep.
Well, this is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, and again, it's only mind-boggling because she was the face of the USA Olympics this year, right?
No, the Olympics.
Is this because of the vault?
What's that, Patrick?
Is this because of the vault?
No.
It was the worst vault in her career.
You would think that something was in her head before she did that. And that's why she performed.
Dan Wetzel says NBC reporting it is a mental issue, not a physical. And Biles did not appear to be physically injured on her vault attempt, but was clearly upset after.
Yep.
I mean, I get it. Like you're doing all that kind of stuff. If you come down funny, you can think about, what you might do to your body or some kind of significant injury. I guess that's the thing. Look, you make that face. Have you ever gone on uneven bars or anything, done all those flips and tumbles and?
No, but we're thinking of it. She's the greatest gymnast / athlete of all time.
Yeah,
she's not going to think like us.
So we're about to come back in. You're going to have maybe about 45 seconds.
Well, this will probably draw a lot of attention tonight at the in prime time.
Yeah, guys are up.
This is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. The greatest athlete of all time is what Simone Biles has been built. And certainly the greatest Olympic gymnast that we've seen has now left the team competition, not because of an injury.
30.
But I've never heard of this before.
And she's still out there.
She's just watching?
Cheering them on.
Yeah.
But she just quit.
But she's there still, I guess.
That's what this is, though. She just stopped.
I have no idea.
She had the worst vault of her career, and she just tapped out. And now the reporting at first was an injury, and now it's not an injury, the reporting is. And this is live, by the way, the 13-hour time difference, so almost 9 p.m. in Tokyo now. Sorry if we're ruining it for her, but this is unlike we've ever seen. We've seen coaches quit in the middle of seasons. We've seen players, I guess, walk in emotional huffs right? Randy Moss leave the field early. Never seen like this. Hour 3 coming up.
There's And I guess kudos to delivering the truth, but a lot of speculation is coming with this. Like,
Well, that's the thing, right? She'll be seen as a champion for emotional well-being, I guess, right?
yeah,
That's why, Bill, I I hear what you were saying. That's the old school approach, right? Tell them there's an injury.
yeah.
That's already what Naomi Osaka is. She lit the torch.
For not being interviewed and bowing out of the French Open, right?
And the Wimbledon.
But that's an individual sport. Like, that's different to me.
Right.
True.
Like, that's just her.
It's true.
Yep.
This is the team competition.
So they haven't done the individual all around yet?
Yeah, I think that's always after.
That would not be a good look if she goes and gets a gold medal for herself. Yeah.
And she's good.
Well, we'll see if she speaks to the media afterwards. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt right now, but
Yeah, it's hard to it's hard to follow along watching without volume
Right.
and reading tweets.
But what's the follow here? If you stop doing it not because of a physical thing, because of a mental thing.
But you're right. When it comes to the individual competition, if she does perform, yeah, are people going to really give her a bad time? And is that going to be?
That's a question?
Well,
Yeah, I think they will.
Look, I'm all for accepting emotional well-being and all of that stuff, but how do you explain this to an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old? They have problems all the time continuing on in their team, and you pat them on the butt and you say, get over it and get out there. And now, how do you explain to little girls, like, when it's too much, you just have to tell us it's too much and you can be done? It's okay to quit?
I was getting notifications that says with a parent injury as well. Like they are saying they
I
were
was too.
reporting initially, yeah.
yeah, there was something about her ankle being wrapped or foot or something. I think I saw.
Sure, but that makes sense because that happens all the time. And if the greatest of all time isn't performing, that would be the easy explanation, right?
Right.
Not right physically.
did you just see this tweet that came across? There's I guess it's an NBC reporter that's there.
Hoda?
She's
from the Today Show, yeah.
Not a reporter.
I like Hoda.
Okay. And she turned to the crowd and said, "Don't you love Simone Biles?" And they're like, "But there is no crowd." Like, it's just a natural thing you would do to, like, like, I get it. Like, you turn around and try and get, give her support, get people. Problem is there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Well, there's much more of a crowd at this thing than there is for any other event, I think, because there's so many, like, support personnel and there's so many people part of these teams and judges and the whole deal.
I think I got it turned where it won't flash.
Man, I feel like this is the most obvious kind of boiling point in sports. Like, either I got to be old school, old-fashioned guy, or everything is rainbows and unicorns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually much more on the evolve and there's a new and better way to do things, but I can't get on board with this.
There's definitely going to need to be a thorough discussion of what happened. Is this a ploy because the rest of the team wasn't doing well and kind of not living up to their potential, so they're pushing them?
Come on, Jim. Nope.
I
So
try to think of all strategies.
the best gymnast of all time just quits?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Said she get the yips, but like she already did this in the Olympics. This isn't a new stage for her.
Correct.
She's how old? She did this as a teenager.
26? Is she that old?
Yeah, me.
She's 24. So she did this as a 19-year-old and won gold.
I don't know.
What is going on here? And still the websites that I'm reading still says injured.
You gotta only look at Twitter.
I'm still looking at Twitter too. Anybody got the latest?
Dan Wetzel's got an article, but it doesn't.
I mean, this is one of those things where you can't write an article. You don't have time. Just tweet it.
Yeah.
You got a live blog here. Let's check the live blog from Tokyo 2020 live blog. That's what I'm checking out. And no, I don't want your cookies.
I just type in Simone Biles and refresh the top tweets.
Right.
Yep.
Probably a smart way to do it. I think this is going to break Twitter, isn't it?
Oh,
Probably.
yeah.
I just put it in Simone.
It's funny they put
Latest.
she said yesterday on Instagram, I truly do feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders. I know I brush it off and make it seem like pressure doesn't affect me, but it's damn hard sometimes.
Of course it is.
Right.
It's not supposed to be easy.
Pressure is earned.
Yep. All right, we are in the open.
This is nuts. And this is going to be on prime time tonight?
Yeah, boy.
Oof.
I'm about to patch you guys up. You're up.
I have never felt older, more old-fashioned might be the way to put it. Hearing the news here within the last several minutes that Simone Biles, the greatest athlete of all time, is what she's being billed at, and certainly Olympic gymnast, has bowed out of the team competition with not a physical injury, but an emotional issue. And Scott just hit us up, says they're going to say she suffered a physical injury no matter what. No way they leave her on an island to defend herself otherwise. But this is where we've gotten to, I think, in our country. I just saw a tweet from just a fan out there saying, good for Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka. Is that the tennis player who did this earlier?
Yeah. Who did this in the French Open? She lost yesterday, though. She didn't just bow out.
But who, I guess, didn't play in the French Open, didn't play in Wimbledon, or bowed out because didn't want to do media interviews and said it was basically a mental issue. Look, I want to be very clear. I'm all for mental health and emotional well-being. But again, I'll defer to many more authorities than just me. Like Dawn Staley talks about compartmentalizing all the time. Any coach I've ever heard speak always talks about mental toughness, and at some point you put your feelings aside and you move forward, because there are going to be massive challenges. Now, obviously, most of us we have no idea what someone who's been billed as the greatest athlete of all time and has the entire world watching her every move at the Olympics. We have no idea what she's gone through. And then I understand there is abuse in her past and the way that gymnastics has factored into that. Sure, this all goes into the Simone Biles story and is very unique here. But to immediately embrace someone who bows out of a team competition because the explanation is that there's a mental deal, that's something that I just don't comprehend. It goes against kind of my DNA of being raised to play team sports, but the team before yourself. We don't have any details about this. And I don't know if we're going to get them. I have no idea. But my initial reaction, Bill, is not to embrace this and say, good for her, and this is a good step in the right direction. This is, hey, you're letting your teammates down in the biggest moment that they've trained for probably their entire life. You've already got plenty of gold medals, but some of those teammates, I'm guessing, do not. And just to bow out because of something that's going on in your head goes against everything that I feel like I've been raised to know in team sport. Bill, what's your reaction at this point?
Well, I don't see anybody like cheering her on and saying good for you. I think you worry about where she's at mentally. And look, outside of like fourth grade, pommel horse or whatever, I've never done gymnastics. I'm amazed by both men and women that do gymnastics and how you can get up there on bars and do flips and catch yourself. And, as a society, we're a bunch of morons because we laugh at the videos where people take horrific falls and smack their head on the bar or something like that. I mean, it's a dangerous sport. And look, if you've got an issue right now, this isn't the sport to go out there and start doing a bunch of flips and everything where you could suffer a significant injury. Now, I can't speak to gymnastics because, again, I've never done it. And I would be terrified. I mean, if you got something in your head, I would flat just say, don't go out there. I don't care if you've been doing it for 20 years since you were 4 years old and you get a bad thought in your head, you run the risk of extreme injury. And I don't know what affected her. Right now they're saying maybe an ankle injury, maybe a wrist injury, maybe it's a mental thing from the way she landed in a particular whatever she was just doing.
I think she only did one thing. I think it was the vault.
Okay, and
it looks like one of the coaches it looks like they were just letting people speculate that it was an injury, and then one of the coaches might have just told somebody, yeah, it's not an injury, it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that it actually came out.
But in the context here, Bill, let's clarify, because I mentioned this on the show yesterday. At watching the qualifying, that Simone Biles wasn't being Simone Biles, just a little off. So it's not like she was dominating like she typically dominates in qualifying going into this team finals deal. So I can see where this might have been building from a confidence standpoint or just an execution standpoint. I get that. But again, we've never seen it in sports, right? You guys can't come up with any kind of example where you got a team sport and someone who is the best. I mean,
somebody pointed out on the live stream. There was the Raiders center that just lost his mind and ended up in Tijuana right before a Super Bowl.
But wasn't this wasn't during the game? This was a guy going out on a bender. Right?
Vontae Davis turned in his pads at halftime of an NFL game.
Yeah.
Because why?
He just quit. He just retired in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
When he was with the Colts. Yeah. Vernon Davis's brother. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right. The way you just described him describes who he is in football, right? He's somebody's brother. He's not the greatest.
He was not. He was a decent little cornerback.
I think
we're talking about the greatest of all time.
I think you have to be very careful in going out of the way and saying, look, there's going to be more that comes out to this story.
And they put out a statement. Do you want me to read the statement?
Yeah, let's hear the statement.
USA Gymnastics, Simone has withdrawn from the team final competition due to a medical issue. She will be assessed daily to determine medical clearance for future competitions. The individual all-around is Thursday. So would be the next time that she competes.
I think it's...
So how do you translate that statement, Patrick?
Sounds like a cookie-cutter PR statement where they can just kind of figure it out as we go and figure out how to handle it when it's not live and millions of people aren't talking.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
that's throwing up.
Unfortunately for her, she's dealing with. They are dealing with the situation, and we'll get more details, I guess, when this comes to conclusion. Somebody's going to do an interview, and they will be asked about it. I'm going to assume, as we all are, that it will not be Simone Biles in front of the media here within the next hour or two, but. No, I think the obviously with Twitter and with everything, the rush to just judge and say things is always extreme to have the hot take. I'll be interested to see what the story is on this. I'll be interested to see if she's done for the rest of the Olympics, if she is going to compete in the individual, and then the narrative to what happened here will be a little bit more complete. But it's a strange situation. You pointed out is something that everybody making a hot take and saying pressure. Oh, how do you not hit? There is nobody that is listening right now, and there's nobody that's on the live stream that has been in that position where they've had to handle the expectations of a country. You might have had to handle expectations for your business, and I get it. That can be really difficult. You've had to handle expectations for your family, and that can be difficult. I totally get that. But this one's a little bit different, and I'm not going to.
Oh, wait.
Crazy. Hold on. I'm not going to sit here and judge. We'll see what happens here. This is going to come. This is going to come out now. It's going. This story will work itself out, and then we can all make an assessment of what we believe to have been the situation here, and whether she cracked under the pressure, whether there is an actual injury. There's going to be more that comes out to this, and we'll just have to wait and see what exactly the story is. I'm well aware for people who want to point out Michael Jordan, the flu game, and you can point out several other guys. But, at the end of or several other athletes. But at the end of the day, I think you just got to let this one play out and see what exactly the storyline is here and what has happened.
Let's not forget, too, this is sports. Okay? She's not doing anything more important than sports here. Let's not over dramatize it too much. She's running and jumping and doing gymnastics. My 4-year-old niece does gymnastics too. She's training. She and 4-year-olds everywhere would love to be Simone Biles. So this is not, let's not over dramatize this and say that normal people who do really critical jobs every single day aren't under much more immense pressure in a much.
And a lot of them crack. A lot of them crack. More than 50% crack. They turn to alcohol. They turn to drugs. They run away. So that is a common thing. There's a lot of people that do not handle it well. And the difference is they're not on television, and they're not being held to a different standard.
Sure, but they also don't get the fame and the money and everything positive attached to that as well. Let's be fair in this discussion. That's all I'm trying to be, is fair and give my honest opinion and reaction to this. I'm not here to, but I am here to react to it and try to put it in perspective of what we've seen before in sports and where we're going in sports. And would love to get your opinions on here. Just asking not to be personally critical. I think that's all we're asking here. Cullen hits us up on the YouTube live stream. To be honest, it's too soon to really try to analyze this. For me, if it was a mental breakdown, I just hope for once someone owns the truth and tells how it really happened. And that's kind of to your point earlier, Bill, where you thought someone would step in and actually say, no, it was an injury and not a mental. It seems like this has been the opposite, right? Someone has stepped in and said, no, there's nothing physical here. It's actually a mental thing. This is something unlike we've ever seen before, and just trying to be fair in how we're handling here today. You're right, Bill. I mean, we don't have near all the factors in this, and judging right now is not the prudent thing to do, but you can't react to it. You can give your honest opinion in how you feel about it. Patrick, haven't really heard yours there about that. What are you feeling right now and thinking?
I don't know. It is because the middle of the competition thing is the weird part. Like, you should be able. I would think that once it's going, like, the adrenaline of the moment and everything takes over, and you just kind of put it out. But I don't know. I get being nervous. Like, I got nervous for every game I ever played, and it wasn't obviously just like high school and college, and it wasn't at this level, but you kind of get started and the moment takes over. And the other thing is she's been in the Olympics. Like, she's won gold medals on the biggest stage. So I don't know, maybe there is more that we don't know, but just being in the middle of the competition and right after, I don't know. It seemed like it was almost like the yips. Like, something happened on her vault where I don't know gymnastics, but people were saying that she didn't even continue her move. Like, something happened. So maybe they just realized when she did her vault, like, there's just a block here, like a mental block here. And like, she's actually not going to compete. I don't know if it was a team decision. Like, because she walked to the training room with one of the team doctors, and they might've just talked about it. And they determined, there's something here where she just can't, like, there's just a mental block here. And it was a team decision, not just her. Cause I would guess that it was a group decision, not just her saying, I can't, I'm done. Maybe it was. I don't know. Right. Because by all accounts, that vault hurt the team. I don't know what score they got, but it was she didn't land it and she didn't even do her move. So something about that move hurt the team. So I don't know if they just said, yeah, whatever's going on with you, like we're benching you, like for lack of a better term, we're benching you. But however it's going on, should have probably been communicated better than a coach just saying, yeah, Simone has a mental issue, she's done. Like,
yeah, but you got to realize too, this is in live competition. The coach's job is to help the team the best he can during the competition, not to give the best PR statement. Like, there are other people that are in that job, and the blanket statement they put out, I think, is the best they can do. There's a medical condition, right? That covers mental for sure, and then should be continued to be evaluated each day in the whole deal. This is it's just something unlike we've ever seen. So let me be very clear, if you're just tuning in or you haven't been following this, we've only been following it while you've had one eye, Patrick, on the team gymnastics and one eye on Team USA in Japan, and the gold medal softball is still 0-0. Is that correct?
Yeah, and by the way, Suni Lee, one of the American gymnasts, the three left that's competing, Jordan Childs is the one that replaced Simone Biles. Apparently she just crushed it on the uneven bars, 15.4, which is a huge score, I think, and America's back in first place.
Okay. Out of the 5 teams, is that right? 5 teams competing for the medal? How the finals go?
I'm not sure. I think from what I've been counting, I think it's more than 5 because I've seen Russia, England, or Great Britain, Italy, Belgium, China, and America. So that's at least 6.
So maybe 6. So again, we're all out of water here. This is certainly not our college football wheelhouse, and we were talking about Texas and Oklahoma for most of the show. But this is going to be the issue in sports in general moving forward, just because of its unique nature. This is someone competing for a team event that has now stepped away from the team event during at the very beginning of it, after just one vault. You're saying that's all she competed in, Patrick? That's all you saw, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was all she did.
You know. So it could be the first team event out of a handful, right? I think they might do 4 actually. And then she had her first vault and has basically been replaced. And they're saying now, originally they said it was an injury issue, a physical injury, and now they've said it's a mental issue. Interesting takes in here for sure. I only encourage you to keep them family friendly and to keep any kind of personal attacks out of them. And then I think we can have a helpful and healthy discussion. 803-404-6100 is the number if you would like to join. We see you on the Love Chevy phone lines and on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. We'll try to continue this discussion. Roll on. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. Wow, this is something, wasn't it?
It's hard to keep up with.
No.
This one guy, Chris, on the text line is just an absolute moron. Absolute moron.
This is
he referenced Bailey Harris. Somebody should tell him that Bailey Harris doesn't coach basketball anymore.
It goes by Root Hog. I don't think you should take it too personally.
Is that Root Hog?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Positive.
You're talking about the one that said about the Bailey Harris needs another towel, telling me to shut up?
Yeah.
All right. That's definitely Root Hog?
Correct.
Okay. That will be probably brought up at some point in the future.
Taking it personal. Don't take it personal.
I'm not. No, that one. If you're gonna act like that, it's not personal. It's just people like that need to be put in their place if they're a moron like that. I mean, those are stupid takes. Don't be. Like, don't.
I think he's in his place when he calls an 87-year-old man at 3 a.m. in the morning. His place is pretty clear.
86-year-old, how dare you?
86-year-old.
Seven
Yeah.
on Sunday.
I don't mind people that want to have an actual discussion, and I don't mind people's opinion. But if you don't have an opinion and you're just yelling at America in general, that's different. I respect people's opinions. That's no problem. I don't agree with a lot of them, but I'm not going to take personal shots and say stuff when ridiculous.
If it makes you feel any better, I've been told that I was raised incorrectly because I
But
can't.
even that, I can get on board with telling me, like, if they want to question my upbringing or something, that's fine, or I'm content with that. But if you're just spouting off nonsense, it's kind of like the people that say I'm fat or whatever. Yeah, okay, I can live with that. I'm okay on that. Not fat, by the way. I'm a very healthy 165. I'm very content with myself.
I can't find the softball game now. I lost it. My app shut down.
We're down 1-0 and down 2-0.
Here we go.
One of our favorite callers said, "You know what's wrong? She's knocked up."
Oh my gosh,
And then he
people are
said,
crazy.
I'm kidding. And then
Hey, Josh.
she is dating an NFL athlete. I said, "Is it Deshaun Watson?" And no, he said, "Well, and then he started talking about what's going on with Deshaun, and basically it's a bunch of women trying to get a bunch of money. So you know how those women can be." And I'm like,
Jeez.
Is this caller a comedian?
no, he thinks he is.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for keeping these idiots off the air. Steve, are we supposed to ignore this, Steve?
We're actually heading back in.
I'm just giving you my honest reaction, sir. I'm not reporting. I'm not writing a column on it or doing a live radio show, man. So we've got Gamecock Larry and quarterback Dave on the.
No, just Gamecock Larry.
Got it.
All right. Cotton, yep.
(803-404-6100). Simone Biles out of the team competition for Team USA in gymnastics right now, going for a gold medal. One vault. It did not go well, worst vault of her career, and originally reported that there was an injury keeping her out, and then was amended by a coach there on the floor saying it wasn't an injury thing, it was a mental thing. So now, this is something we haven't seen. Again, unprecedented in so many ways. First of all, the level of Simone Biles is as high as any Olympian, besides maybe Michael Phelps, that I've seen in my lifetime anyway, and I think that the numbers back that up. She's been called not only the greatest Olympian of all time, but the greatest athlete, because she does things in gymnastics that have never been done before, never even been attempted, because of her level of athleticism. And Bill, I think earlier you mentioned she was the face of Team USA going into this Olympics. I think she was the face of the entire Olympics, even outside of our country, just because of the level that she'd achieved going in. And she's 24 years old, so was expected to just add to that. And now to see some sort of mental issue keep her out of this team competition, I guess knowing that it was so early in the competition and not knowing how it went down. Patrick, you mentioned the possibility of, say, a coach just stepped in and said, no, we're going to go a different direction here because it's going to be better for the team. That's much different than it would be for her saying, I can't go on because there's something in my head.
I would think that they would probably, because there was something the other day you said where they noticed that she wasn't her normal self in qualifying. And I know that but I'm seeing, just typing her name in on Twitter and reading the results, like there are articles written about her talking about how much stress she's under and how much it's weighing on her. So I guess I would think that they'd been seeing this kind of evolving the last couple of days. And when that first vault happened and then she got whatever score she got, they said, whatever it is, you're just not in the zone today. You don't have it right now. Like, we need to just give these 3 other girls a chance to go out there and try and win a gold medal because this is their moment too. And whatever is happening right now, you're not there. You're not with it today.
And that certainly would be a better narrative for her. Like you said, if the coach is the one that pulled the plug, that makes more sense and gives her an opportunity to get herself, in the place that she needs to be. So then if she does compete individually, it's not looking like a selfish move. And I'm selfish. That's not the word I want, but I think that it bodes better for her still being able to compete.
So in my mind right now, it is the conflict of what you owe to your team in kind of what state, right? And in internalizing this, reacting to the story. And again, for those of you who think I shouldn't have an opinion on this, I don't think you understand how live radio works. This is happening all in real time. I'm just trying to give you my honest feedback and trying to put it in perspective at the same time as well, knowing Simone Biles is as unique an athlete maybe as there's ever been, both on the competitive field and off of it with everything she has overcome. But again, in my mind, Bill, there is a very distinct difference. And maybe this is where we can't agree in this thing. In tapping out on your team because there's something going on in your mind keeping you from being your best, and not being at your best and your team replacing you. That is a massive difference.
So what do we think happened?
I got no idea, and I'm not going to speculate here. I'm saying that is a huge difference in how I will ultimately come away with my opinion on this.
And that's all I'm saying. The rest of the story will be told. We'll get an answer. It's a little bit different. One, they're in Japan and they're in the middle of competition. It's not like a college football game where you can interview the coach coming out of the locker room when he's just replaced Jalen Hurts with a freshman quarterback, right? Because Jalen Hurts stunk that night. Now, and maybe that's the same. All I'm saying with some of the people weighing in is you really don't know what's happened yet. And I'll be interested just like everybody else. The narrative tomorrow morning when we come back on, by then we will have had plenty of time to get the full story from everybody. I think, Patrick, you brought it up a minute ago. What is it? The individuals are on Thursday. If she competes in that, everybody's story might change again. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting because obviously this story is not going to go away. It's going to be the story at least for today and tonight when people come home. If you're sitting at your office now, when you get home tonight, if you flip over, it will be the story in prime time tonight as everybody's had a chance to kind of digest it and also get comments from whomever they send out there. That's going to be part of it.
It's going to be fascinating to rewatch this thing. I don't know if NBC can do it how they originally planned, right? Because you originally planned to air it in its entirety, right? But if the story has advanced so much over the hour time difference, you might have to break in there and kind of fill it out. I don't know how this is going to work because, again, something we've never seen. And for those of you making the analogies, I just tried to bring up examples in other sports where this might happen before. And you guys mentioned an NFL player quitting at halftime. I get that. But again, to be the greatest of all time in your sport, in the team competition, because this is a unique sport as well, where not only do you compete as a team, but also as an individual. It's two different things. So the Naomi Osaka deal for the French Open and Wimbledon, well, she just sat out herself. That didn't affect her team. and that's a different deal. And that brought up I think the more general discussion of, okay, what about the mental well-being of athletes? How much does the media deserve to hear? And that standpoint. This one is just completely unique. Like Mitch says, would Phil Jackson bench Michael Jordan if he missed his first 10 shots? Well, maybe, but probably not, right? But how many games do you play in an NBA season? And even if it's the NBA Finals, you got 7 games. If it's a game 7, I think that might be the only comparison. But still, you have an NBA Finals every year. This is once every 4 years.
Exactly.
And this has turned out to be an extra year of delay for the Olympics in Tokyo. And to be then Simone Biles, she doesn't have Phil Jackson coaching her. I don't know the name of the gymnastics coach. Do you guys? Bella Caroli is the only one that I know.
I don't know another name on the gymnastics team. I think Patrick mentioned one, and I've already forgotten it.
Yeah.
Sudie Lee and Jordan Childs.
But they have, like Patrick was saying earlier, they have really stepped up. So this has not brought the team down for sure. Whatever, decision, whoever made the decision, they've actually been performing better than was expected now. So
and then the discussion comes up by a lot of you have weighed in and just seem to have been waiting for an opportunity, maybe seem to be overstepping your bounds, talking about this generation or our current culture kind of embracing maybe more the participation and the snowflake attitude. I just press the pause on that. But I'm saying my general gut instinct to hear that someone stepped away from a team competition because of a mental problem is that doesn't go along with the complete team dynamic. But Bill, I think that's why you're saying, hey, press the pause button, try to get more information before you come to an ultimate determination. But man, again, something unlike we've ever seen here.
Well,
the details will matter tremendously in all of it, right?
I think Patrick pointed out, or maybe Jen did, like she went back out there like she was ready to perform. I mean, I kind of give her the bit
there after the original first
right.
ball.
had her wrist taped up with, I guess, the clips that they use. Or I mean, she was dressed like she was ready to perform. We don't know just yet if she got out there and looked around and said, I can't do it, or if a coach said, no, we're not putting you back in. Again, we don't know who the coach is. I can't, not to make light of the situation, but this isn't, I was paying attention. We were paying attention this morning, A, because it's America, B, because it's Simone Biles.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to be mean to anybody who's got a cousin or anything that's out there in Tokyo that's participating, but I don't know the name of the coach, nor do I know the name of the rest of the roster. And so all I'm saying on this is, well, just real quick, she goes back out there and she gets taped up as to go through the next routine, and they look over and like, no, you're not going back in. I don't know. And how much clout does she have to say, no, I can finish my – there's a lot here that will come out, and you will have a better understanding of the situation tomorrow. And then if you want to form a over-the-top opinion, I do totally get that at that point.
Anonymous Secretary just hit us up, Cool Care Heating and Air text line. In the team competition, if you're fully aware that you're not where you need to be mentally or physically, isn't it selfless to remove yourself for an equally elite teammate? Well, first of all, there's no equally elite teammate to Simone Biles. But I think I get the gist of it that the other gymnasts on Team USA, Patrick, was she able to be replaced? Is that how this works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. She was going to do Jordan Childs replaced her on the uneven bars. I mean, they always pick who's going to do what competition.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would assume because maybe they do the all around, so she has a kind of a routine or whatever for the uneven bars. But I don't know if they were just like, hey, you're up. And she had no idea, and just went out there and winged it or what the deal was.
Because of the possibility of injury, I'm sure this is a lot like a baseball team has a plan going in, like, hey, you're going to be in long relief. If our starter stinks, be ready to go in the second inning. If that's what we got to do, kind of an emergency deal. If there's going to be an injury, you're up first in this event. You're up first in this event. Surely that's how you prepare for this international competition that's been the last 4 or 5 years of your training. You're not going to say, hey, what do you think? Can you do it?
There's a little wheel that they're going to.
But my point in this is that as opposed to stepping away and saying that this is too much for me, which is kind of how I first internalized this and say, what are you talking about? That you have to overcome any kind of mental obstacles thrown your way. There is also something to admitting honestly. And this is something that I kind of came to maybe, I don't know, later in any kind of playing career, is that a coach expects you to get through a certain amount of adversity, but then expects a certain amount of honesty from you as well. If you are going to be hurting the team, you got to have humility and set your pride aside to say, hey, man, I just can't do it anymore. And if that's part of the situation, then certainly she should be applauded as well. We just don't know. We know hardly any of the details at all other than what we've seen on the screens, what you guys have seen in real time as this is happening 13 hours ahead of us with the time difference in Tokyo. So, Bill, have you changed your first initial impression at all on what's going on as you're taking it in real time?
Well, no, and for me, and I apologize because I'm not doing it the same way that I think Patrick and Jen are. I don't have the gymnastics on. I can't get the gymnastics on. Like that actually has become a bit. I'm watching the softball because I think you gotta stream the gymnastics at this point. I'm guessing they're not showing it live this morning because they were going to re-show it. Am I right on that? That was the reason.
I don't know. I have to stream everything, so I couldn't even tell you. Jordan Childs is doing the floor routine right now.
She is, and
Okay.
she just kind of fell on her backside.
Oh, yeah, she did.
And so even for me right now, it's a little bit more difficult because I'm having to base it on the best place of all to base your information, Twitter. So with all that being said, I'll be interested to hear the story. I'll be interested to hear the narrative on what has happened here, and then we'll go from there. And if they win, also, by the way, if they win, because I guess they were 0.8 of a point behind going into the final exercise. Is that what I just saw on Twitter?
I'm not sure the exact numbers, but they have made up a lot of ground because they were pretty far down, and it was like this is kind of an insurmountable task, and they've really made up a lot of ground. So
yeah, I guess there's a lot here that will work itself out. We are to flip the conversation where you go from expansion talk to this, where expansion talk, there's a lot to work out in that, and then but at least we're being able to keep up to date on news. This one, they'll come off the floor at some point. There'll be interviews and there'll be discussions. And while I highly doubt that all information will be shared, I do think that you'll be able to pick up a little bit more.
A couple of the last texts into the Pool Care Heating and Air text line, I think, really kind of filling out this discussion where we are now. Life is full of pressure, anonymous texter says. It ain't easy. Nothing has more pressure than being a parent and providing for your family. So that's the keeping this on the sports context of pressure and the whole deal. And then the next text from a different texter says, had Simone blown out her knee, she'd be a national hero. Instead, you have people questioning her desire or saying she cracked. It's pretty telling, the prevailing thoughts on mental illness. I wish her a speedy recovery. She's done enough for this country. Again, we don't know the details here. All we know is that there was one vault, it did not go well, and then originally reported as an injury keeping her out, and then that was switched to a mental issue. We want to switch back to our football conversation. Our buddy Gamecock Larry's been waiting very patiently on the Love Chevy phone lines. Oklahoma and Texas has been most of our discussion this morning as
the official notice to the conference went in yesterday, not long after our show was done, that the media rights would not be granted or would not be renewed from the Oklahoma and Texas standpoint. Gamecock Larry, what do you think this morning, sir?
Well, first, I don't care about the Oklahoma-Texas expansion anymore. I'm saying, come on in. Now, on this thing about the teammate, I've been on some teams. I got to say it slow now. If one of my teammates had something that was bothering him or something in his head or mind, that he couldn't concentrate on the game and on his teammates, I wouldn't want him to be out there. And this lady, whoever you're talking about, well, if she wasn't, you know what I mean. If she wasn't concentrated on the game and she couldn't concentrate, she shouldn't have been out there. That's what I want to say about that. And now the Clemson fan, the Carolina fan that called a while ago about put the Gamecocks back in the ACC.
That was Kelvin.
What in the world is he talking about? ACC. And all these fans is talking about Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC. That sounds like to me they don't believe of putting any faith in Shane Beamer and the staff. This staff has got something that the SEC ain't seen lately. And I'm going to tell you, like I said before, come on down, come on in. We're waiting on you. We don't care if Texas ain't been that good anyway in 10 years. I think they the Gamecocks, whatever, Big 12, I think. The Gamecocks in the SEC this year, they about like that in the Big 12. They done went down, but the Gamecocks ain't never been up. That's okay. We're going to be good. We're going to be in the top echelon of the SEC when this thing's all over. And you guys talking all about this. Now, you're going to talk about this for 2 or 3 years. I heard Tim say something about welcome home down there about the Gamecocks. He ain't said nothing else about that. If they got somebody else already committed, tell us a little bit about the Gamecocks. Go Gamecocks.
Gamecock Larry, ladies and gentlemen. I mentioned the Welcome Home tour. Lexington County meeting was last night. And Shane Beamer did actually weigh in, kind of. He was asked about the Oklahoma and Texas thing. And to me, seemed like he was toting the line that most coaches will tote at this point. Going to add to the challenge, but we look forward to the challenge kind of deal. Add to the challenge of winning a championship and obviously two tremendous brands that would have the potential to strengthen the league kind of deal. And Gamecock Larry, from the Gamecock standpoint, Asia Wilson, 19 points, 13 rebounds. Team USA, women's basketball team, beats Nigeria by 9. 50th straight win for Team USA. The former Gamecock leading the way. But there are no new welcome home tweets out there, correct, Bill, as far as the recruiting goes, you being the resident recruiting there?
Correct. Nothing new. And one thing Shane Beamer did say last night that was actually, aside from just some team notes, nothing major there, aside from everybody being healthy. Fall camp, the players will report a week from Thursday. First official practice will be Friday, August the 6th. And I would assume, Tim, on Thursday, when we're at the media golf outing, Beamer will speak after we're done playing golf. I would assume one of the questions and maybe an answer will be had about fans being able to get out and view some of the practices early on. It wouldn't surprise me if they have maybe a Saturday practice or a Sunday practice in the stadium where people would actually be able to go and watch practice. So that'll be the next question. But the first practice for South Carolina will be August the 6th, a Friday.
So the day before that, a good day to get out and celebrate. You can do that at a grand opening. The Palmetto Express, new truck stop off of I-26, exit 125, Old Sandy Run Road out there in Gaston. Going to have a grand opening that day. Our buddies from the halftime show will be out there live. Plenty of free stuff will be given away out there at the Palmetto Express Kitchen, where they are cooking up plenty of good stuff you can pick up on your way if you're coming in from the Charleston side of I-26 for Williams-Brice Stadium games and festivities. You can get plenty of tailgating stuff there. Chicken wings I'm talking about, veggie trays, fruits, all that kind of stuff. And you can see all of their options coming up on August 5th. Thursday grand opening. 107.5 The Game will be out there live in the afternoon, noon to 4. Also a blood drive going on in conjunction with that grand opening at the Palmetto Express of Old Sandy Run Road. Plenty more to discuss as we wrap up the conclusion of what's been one of the most unique shows that we've ever done here on the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
This is Gamecock head coach Frank Martin, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com. Still working an earlier accident, Long Green Parkway at Clemson Road. Shop Road at South Beltline Boulevard is in the cleanup stages. And an earlier accident still causing a little bit of mischief. Flat Springs Road at Cannon Trail Road. And looking for that.
Sorry about that. You should be able to hear me now.
99 on Thursday.
Iced it because our last girl
Sorry?
had out of bounds and fell.
All right, who did?
Jordan Childs went out of bounds and fell. I think Russia might have just iced it with that last one.
Oof.
Russia might be taking gold in both gymnastics team events.
Oof.
Well, not good because right now Japan's up 2-0 and the little pitch is
I know.
rolling.
If we lose gymnastics, rugby, and softball in 4 hours,
It's gonna be a rough day. You're gonna hide under the covers.
going to Canada.
So what inning is that softball game?
6th.
Yeah, bottom 6.
Man 2, USA softball 0-6.
Yeah,
that is correct.
Got it. Thank you.
So I'm looking at some of the shirts that the gymnastic coaches for Italy. I don't know if I can get that. Can you kind of see that?
Uh-huh.
Now imagine the guys who maybe have a little bit more of a midsection.
Right. A
It's
little
not a
pasta
pretty-
in there, if you will.
It looks like you've got half of a beach ball on your tummy.
Exactly. It's not like, did somebody just say, oh, crud, we forgot to put XYZ on the shirt, so let's just put this big, let's just cut a beach ball in half and glue it on the shirt.
Hope. That is not the American way, ma'am.
Right.
Nothing wrong with silver.
They went in touted as being, pretty gosh darn amazing, but so we're just expected gold, but
Maybe we should make 107.5 The Game shirts like that, right?
there you go. That'd be
Have like a radio logo up here or an icon.
hmm
107.5 The Game right down and
there you go.
logo down there.
It's I was trying hard to get an actual picture of one of the guys because it's like, oh, I'm so sorry you're wearing that.
Ouch.
That had some internet issues this morning.
Guess I shouldn't have messed with your line before I left
Please,
the
yeah.
area.
Oh, we got a girl on first. Why are the Japanese wearing shorts, by the way?
Uh-oh.
I just realized this.
Oh, 2 on.
2 on for Team USA bottom 6. Is that right?
Yep, 1 out.
I think they do play 7 in softball, right?
Mm-hmm. I think you're right.
Patrick must be way ahead of me.
Just looking at the reactions of these gymnasts, there's a Russian girl going right now, and it does appear that she would have to do something disastrous
What's she doing?
for us to have a chance. I'm struggling to follow, but it does appear that this Russian girl would have to have a very, very bad routine for us to catch them.
What event?
The floor exercise.
We're heading back in.
I think this is the last of them. I don't know.
Guess right.
I'm struggling over here to keep up.
Want to give you a chance to go see the Foo Fighters inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. Right now, you have a chance to win if you text the national keyword wrench to 64636 is the number. 64636. That's the number you text. The word is wrench. WRENCH. The national contest looking to send you, fly you up to Cleveland, put you up in a hotel, and give you a pair of passes to see the Foo Fighters inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It has been a raucous kind of show today. And Patrick, the latest update from Team USA gymnastics competition over in Tokyo is that it's not looking good for the Americans, correct?
It doesn't look like it's looking good, but I really can't tell. I can tell far more about the softball. I don't know. The Russians are clapping.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty. The Russians look like they think they just won gold. Yeah.
Well, if that just happened, you're really not gonna like what just happened with Japan and America.
You just said I was way ahead of you, and you're telling me
I was way. Well, yeah, I fast forward. I had apparently gone back to look at something.
Don't you hate that when you think you're live and you're not live?
if she hits into a double play.
It was
She just hit.
Team USA down 2-0 in the 6th inning to Japan. There were 2 on, and then what happened in the groan
Go
was
ahead, Patrick. Give the explanation.
She hit into a double play.
Well, what kind of double play though? We hit a line drive to the third baseman, and the girl
Yeah.
at second had gone about halfway between second and third, and they just flipped over to
Gotta
second
see-
base and
got to see the ball
stayed
down.
out of it.
Tougher in softball, I
Yeah.
imagine, with most bases. Ooh.
So
So they're going to the 7th inning, right?
to finish this, as Patrick has said on the live stream, it's going to be could end up being a very tough morning. Apparently, what happened in rugby? There was a gold medal match.
Gave up a 21-7 lead at half. No, it wasn't a gold medal match for rugby. It was a quarterfinal.
No.
So our chances to medal are now out the door in rugby. The rugby team has been sent packing. Very boring soccer game, but the women will advance to play either Brazil or Netherlands. U.S. has, it looks like, silvered in gymnastics, and the Russians have swept the gymnastics competition. And we're about to not win the gold medal in softball either. Yeah.
Keeping international relations good. Again, if you're just joining us, the story of the morning has been that Simone Biles bowed out of that team competition for Team USA after one vault, and originally reported as an injury and then amended mental issue that kept her out of there, or just mental fatigue. Again, no real details coming out other than a statement saying it was a medical condition that caused her to leave the competition, and she'll continue to be evaluated. That part is important because there is the individual all-arounds coming up in a couple of days. And originally, it was the quitting on your team discussion. Then it became, all right, was it actually a team decision that pulled her out of there? And then, well, what do you owe your team? And then what about individuals and the handling of all this? Going to be fascinating to continue to follow that. And guys, I feel like we had the true Tokyo 2021 experience this morning, where Bill couldn't even stream the gymnastics. Then he was behind on the softball, and all of this is a 13-hour time difference from what will be played on primetime television tonight. Wow, Tokyo 2020 and 2021 has been something, hasn't it?
Well, that's
Cross your fingers and hope for a walk-off.
Yeah, that's for everybody that said we needed to talk sports going on right now and not expansion. You got your wish in the 8 o'clock hour, right?
It was just Michael, just one person. I think everybody enjoyed the
I
Oklahoma.
think Gene said it too. Gene said it earlier.
Yeah, right. 2 people. Thanks for listening to the early game here. Dan Patrick Show coming up next on 107.5. Live streamers, that was something.
We did win
Well
the
done.
game before. That is a good point.
Trey, excellent historical perspective confirmed by the history major here on the show.
Well done.
You as well, Hope. See you guys tomorrow.